Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to this meeting of the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works, Friday, August 27, 2021. 2001, that's not true. Hope everybody's well. Happy Friday. Let's jump right in. We have a very full agenda. So we'll start by taking the minutes from Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I'll motion.
Mr. President, before you take any action, let's go ahead and.
Oh yeah, we need to set up
our quorum. For the record, just for the record, we are on video and we are on webinar, so it is being recorded, and we can clearly see all five commissioners. But just for the record, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have Commissioner President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. President Good, you do have a quorum at this time. We are also joined by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan, who's on the line. At this time, we have one caller from the general public that's here in the queue for general public comment. We also have one member from the general public on items number 2, 13, and 14. In addition to that, we did receive 5 public comments received through our Google form that's posted on our website. Under public comments, items 2, 13, and 14, and all those comments have been distributed to all the commissioners and speakers on those items. Mr. President, also, we do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Campos. All right. So we'll quickly take again the minutes from Wednesday, August 11, 2021, and I will motion to approve those. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
2 seconds. Villegas and Caloza. Any concerns? Garcia and Davis.
No concerns from me, Mr. President.
All right, hearing none, the minutes from Wednesday, August 11th are approved and adopted forthwith. So one bit of housekeeping. As a note, we will be continuing item number 4, date TBD. So with that, let's go to general public comment, Dr. Campos.
Mr. President, also, there's been a request to withdraw item number 5, in as much as your board has already taken action on that item on August 13th, so we are respectfully asking for a withdrawal of item number 5.
Yep, I was wondering about that. Okay, great. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll go ahead and withdraw item number 5, and then we'll move on to public comments. At this time, we do have one member from the general public here for general public comment. Caller ending in 682. Call 2 if *6. At this time, your microphone. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak under general public comment. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams from El Sereno, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Sierra Club, and Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. We're quite concerned regarding all of the projects going through the Department of Public Works, and especially the Bureau of Engineering, and the fact that the pertinent, appropriate neighborhood councils don't even know what's going on in the Department of Public Works. We would deeply request that the various bureaus, especially Bureau of Engineering, notify the relevant neighborhood councils when they're having a project in the neighborhood council jurisdiction. Neighborhood councils are part of the city jurisdiction, and I say we don't get informed by the city council representatives because they want it all to themselves. So we're asking the Department of Public Works, Board of Public Works, to please request all bureaus, offices, and others to notify the pertinent neighborhood councils in a timely fashion, usually at least a couple of weeks, if not a month before anything happens on it, so that we can contribute to the public participation in these items. That's all. Finished.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dr. Williams. All right, let's move on to, let's jump right in. We'll move to item number 1. Item number one, construction orders and budget change orders. Tomovich and Associates, super expedited waste emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, Paseo Miramar, 600 project. Recommending the board, one, authorize a construction budget of $255,000, including contingency for the super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, Paseo Miramar 600 project, and two, authorize the city engineer to issue construction orders and change orders up to the authorized construction budget for this project. Work order SZC 14014, C-130393. Mr. Wang, are you here? You are here on this item, yes?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. I hope you are well. Please jump right in.
Okay. Thank you, President Good. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm George Huang from the Bureau of Engineering with the Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. What you have on the item here today is for the Sewer 6, as a Sewer 6 project. I know we were just here on Wednesday for the next contract for the Sewer 7. But this one is to authorize a construction budget for the $255,000 in order to construct the work for this project. Just a kind of quick background, there are 3 contractors in the current Sewer 6 contract. They're Matthew and Stewart Company, MNR Construction, and Tomovich and Associates. Currently, the contract ceiling for the Sewer 6 initially was $30 million, and which was raised to $43 million back on April 14th of 2020. And the work is issued to each of the sewers contractor through a series of construction orders. Each of the construction orders, the city engineer generally takes the contractor with the lowest quantity takeoff cost, and the authority that the city engineer has for each of the projects to issue construction orders is for a total cost of up to $150,000. So the Paseo Miramar 600 project is located inside a sewer easement between Resolano Drive and Catalonia Avenue. The existing sewer, the existing 6-inch vitrified clay pipe is about 11 feet deep and 139 feet long and was constructed in 1927. What this project will do is remove and replace about 140 linear feet of the existing pipe, and then replace it with a 8-inch pipe instead of a high-density polyethylene, what we call HDPE pipe. And then from there, we'll reconnect the house connections that are tied into this existing sewer main. And then approximately about 111 linear feet of this pipe of the sewer replacement work cannot be performed with the traditional open trench method because it has a lot of vegetation, trees, and land structures that are inside the backyard that runs along the backyard of a lot of the properties. And because removing these physical structures and obstructions and vegetation would be cost prohibitive, so we are what we did was we proposed to use the pipe bursting method to replace this segment of the sewer pipe. And what pipe bursting is, it's one of the trenchless construction method, and it uses a hydraulic expansion head to create space for a new pipe. And then a new pipe is currently pulled as the old one is being pipe burst. So this trenchless technology significantly reduces the physical impacts to the surface improvements compared to the traditional open trench method. After the pipe bursting work is completed, the contractor will reconnect the house laterals that are connected to the properties that run along this line, and work will also be done to rehabilitate the maintenance holes that are at the end of each of this reach. One will be a new standard maintenance hole, a brick maintenance hole will be installed as well. So based on the schedule work and prices, the cost proposals that we received for this work, Tomovich was the lowest bidder at about $177,000, and therefore, because the city engineer only has authority up to $150,000, we're requesting the board to consider a construction budget to issue the construction orders and change orders for the project for not to exceed budget of $255,000, which includes contingency. And that concludes my report. And, here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Garcia?
Good morning, President Good, and good morning to everyone and my fellow colleagues. Mr. Wang, good report. I don't have any questions this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Wang, for your report. Just a point of clarification. You said that this contract is going to be for $255,000, and you have 3 contractors on board. Is that correct?
Correct. We have 3 contractors that are pre-qualified. Pre-qualified for the sewers program through the Sewer 6 program.
And last year we increased the threshold for the Sewer 6 program.
Yes, from $30 million to $43 million.
Okay. And with this contract, we are not exceeding the $43 million?
No, we will not be exceeding.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. No more questions from me for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yes, no questions from me on this particular item. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Calosa?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Huang. I think he did a great job on his report, and he briefed me on this item, so don't have any questions for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wang. I'm pretty clear on this. Need to get it done. I've never heard of tunnel bursting or what's the phrase again?
Pipe bursting?
Pipe bursting. I mean, it's not a problem. It's the first time I'd ever heard the words pipe bursting in a positive frame, so that's good. It's a problem solver versus a problem causer. So very good. Thank you, Mr. Wang. Do I have a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Second.
Take a second from President Pro Tem Davis. Villegas Garcia, any concerns? All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Wang. Have a great weekend.
Great, thank you. Have a great weekend too.
Okay, let's move now to item number 2. Item number 2, I see Shirley Lau, supplemental agreement change order number 61, Police Construction Inc., Soto Street Bridge over Valley Boulevard, Union Pacific Railroad project, recommending the board, 1, authorize the city engineer to issue supplemental agreement change order number 61 to Police Construction Inc. for a not to exceed amount of $2 million for the sidewalk addition on the east side of Soto Street, and 2, authorize 2 members of the board to sign supplemental change order number 61. It should be authorize the president or 2 members of the board to sign supplemental change order number 61, which will address work order E700070F C131879. Good morning, Ms. Lau.
Good morning, President Good, Commissioners. Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering, Bridge Improvement Division. The Soto Street Bridge is in CDs 1 and 14 and spans over Valley Boulevard and the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. The project rehabilitates and widens the existing bridge by approximately 25 feet to the west for a total width of 79 feet. The roadway beyond the bridge will also be widened to meet current standards and also to meet the new width of the widened bridge. On February 26, 2019, City Council adopted Council File number 19-0110 that authorized the Bureau of Engineering to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Metro to receive $4 million from the State Route 710 Mobility Improvement Program for this project. Also on November 10, 2020, your board authorized this $4 million in additional contingency to revise the construction budget of this project. The supplemental agreement change order number 61, which is in this report before you, will allow us to construct the east side sidewalk along the bridge and along the roadway, which are actually missing right now. The community considered this as a high priority when we went before them a couple years ago. In order for them to reach the Metro bus stop that is on Valley Boulevard, they need to use this east side sidewalk, and therefore we have added the sidewalk to this contract and to this project. The BOE has completed the design.
No, they don't have anything inside. It's just that.
The Bureau of Engineering has completed design of the sidewalk improvements and has received a cost proposal from the contractor for these new project elements, and we're currently in negotiations with the contractor. Just to reiterate, the bulk of the $4 million that we did receive from the 710 Mobility Improvement Program was meant to construct this additional sidewalk improvements. This supplemental agreement change order will be completely funded by that $4 million, which is 100% reimbursable, and it is front funded by LADOT's Transportation Grant Fund. And once we pay the contractor, then we will receive the reimbursement from Metro. That completes my brief report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. Let's start with President Pro Tem Davis. Any questions?
Yeah, just brief questions. In terms of the funding for this project, it's Metro funding involved, which is federal funding, right?
Yeah, so the actual bridge project is completely federally funded, and this $4 million that they have given to us is Prop C funding, so it would be considered LA County funds, I believe.
Okay, and in terms of the people that are working on this particular project, how are we doing in terms of the business inclusion project as it relates to the C-funded project?
Yeah, so the entire, because we have federal funds on this project, we use the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or the DBE program. So this contractor has met the goal that was set and approved by Caltrans. This is at the beginning of the construction. And so we are negotiating with them on this change order, supplemental agreement change order number 61. And so I will know as we complete that, what percentage of the work will be also DBE. So I can provide that information to you, Commissioner, when we're done with the negotiations.
So our plan is, in fact, to continue the work in which we have been fashioning it under the original larger project, is to be inclusive in with the same variables. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, Ms. Lau, for your report. Just a point of clarification. The improvements that are going to be done on Valley, and those are going to be on the side where the railroad is at?
So for this change order, so the change order is actually, we're going to construct the sidewalk on the east side of Soto. It's just, it will come down all the way. If you go north on Soto, it kind of makes that turn. So we have to go all the way to where the turn is, and then so people can continue to walk to reach Valley Boulevard.
Oh, okay. So there's no improvements on Valley?
We have some improvements due to the bridge widening that will be included, but it was
not for the bus stops, not for that.
Correct.
Okay. I'm sure that's a different project, but that needs it as well, because there's no, I'll talk to other people, but there's nothing there.
At the bus stop?
Yeah.
Okay. I will note that. We will discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you, Shirley Lau, for your report. As always, great job. I don't have any questions. I was briefed on this, but I just want to say that it's really nice to see that we're able to do a sidewalk for the pedestrians in that community, given that they didn't have one before. And so I appreciate BOE's listening to the community and then attending to that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Agreed. Commissioner Colosso.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Ms. Lau. I think she did a great job on her report, and she briefed me as well. So look forward to seeing the delivery of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosso. Ms. Lau, just one quick question, which is, I know you received $4 million in the 710 money, and this is a change order for $2 million. Will there be more additions that y'all will be working on and come to the board with? Or am I misunderstanding? Because it basically says that there's another $2 million available potentially for this.
Right. So with the discussions with Metro, we agreed that the additional $2 million will be used for contingencies on this project. Right. So that will help the project in general.
That makes sense, of course. Okay, this is exciting. This will be great for that community. So I'll take a motion to move it forward.
Mr. President, sorry to interrupt. I believe we have a caller on the line for item number 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, yeah, let's please do here.
Absolutely, thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 682. Caller ending in 682. The Board of Public Works is now taking public comments on items number 2. Can you please press *6 to unmute your microphone? Please go ahead.
Dr. Tom Williams with LA 32 Neighborhood Council. And this whole procedure this morning regarding item 2 follows along my public comment. Number 1, we can't see any of your video. Therefore, it's not part of the public meeting. Also, I think the Brown Act requires that the public comment comes before the board comments rather than having to wait through the entire board and you not hearing what our public comments are. Number 1, there was mention of meetings that were held, and no meetings have been held regarding this particular change order with the neighborhood council or with any of the local residents that will use this crossing. So we're quite concerned about the Bureau of Engineering proceeding with their own little world, which was the basis of CEQA a long time ago. And so here's the basic problem. Get to the communities and find out what they need rather than coming up with the Bureau of Engineering deciding that there needs to be a sidewalk there. Integrate it with the road widening and the improvements on Valley and on Soto, which we were never really notified as far as the neighborhood council. So we're willing to help if we're given the opportunity, and might say, please schedule recognition that it takes us a little longer than you guys to do the work. So I would highly recommend that you continue this item. Elsewise, for Brown Act non-compliance, there may be other issues arising in the near future. So please do not approve this, continue it, and hold some neighborhood council and community meetings regarding what's really needed at that intersection. Thank you.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes, thank you. Mr. President, the discussion here in the item and the receipt of public comment all complies with the Brown Act. So the board can do what it wants regarding continuance or not, but the Brown Act does not require any kind of continuance in this instance. In fact, I would point out that Dr. Williams' comments, to the extent he has had his comment after commissioners have had their comments, then he was actually afforded an opportunity to comment then on those comments made by the commissioners. In fact, if you want, you can have the public comment be made even before the staff makes its presentation, because the Brown Act has been satisfied with the content of the board's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And so, and typically, as everyone knows, I do public comment on items before the presentations and deliberations. Forgive me the imperfection of making that mistake. That said, I do feel like, and I appreciate your weighing in, Mr. Jordan, that we have comported with the Brown Act. President Pro Tem Davis, did you have a...
Yeah, I just a point of clarification. Was the council office for the area impacted here also aware of this particular project in terms of what we're doing here? This is, whose district is this? This is 14, what is it? What district is it?
Commissioner, this spans council districts 1 and also 14. And yes,
14 and 1, okay.
Yes, the council office is aware of the project. We did go to the community before we started construction, and that was when the missing east side sidewalk was raised. Therefore we were doing the design to get it to this point in time where, and we feel very lucky to have some funding from Metro to pay for the construction of the missing east side sidewalk.
Yeah, it was I was going to say it was my hope when we do also communicate not only with the community but with the council office that they will reinforce our connection with the community groups as well, because I know that there are multiple things that our engineers have to do. But so when we contact the council offices, in addition to having already contacted the neighborhoods, they help reinforce information that we're working on. So I'm glad to hear that we have done that, and I'm sure moving forward that our council offices will be intricately involved with the various projects in the neighborhood associations as well as we do.
Yeah, and since this project, has been going on, the Bureau of Engineering, we're happy to reach out to the council office again and provide the neighborhood councils with an update, and we will do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Davis, Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Villegas.
And thank you. And just for point of, context here, this is not a new project. This is a project that's been underway for, I want to say, at least 2 years. So the fact that it's coming to us so that the sidewalk can be improved, it's much needed. The bridge looks fantastic. That's, what BOE has been doing, and that's what we've been approving a lot of contracts. So this is not a new project, and I just wanted to let you all know so that you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I believe there have been countless meetings on this project, many meetings on this project, including this one. With that, I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
Mr. President, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, would your board like to consider amending this report to authorize the president or 2 members of the board to sign the agreement?
Yes, thank you for that reminder, Dr. Campos. So I will make a motion to amend to change recommendation 3. Dr. Campos? No, recommendation 2 to authorize the president or 2 members of the board to sign the supplemental agreement. So can I get a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Oh, okay, sorry. President Pro Tem Davis beats him to the gate. So do I have a second?
Second. I think we all are too polite. We're all very conscientious of one another.
Great. All right, I'll take a second from Commissioner Tolosa. Any concerns, Commissioner Villegas or Vice President Garcia? All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Lau, as always.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. Jordan, and thank you, Dr. Campos. All right. Let's go to item number 3. Item number 3 is a partial closeout change order, claim number 4 settlement and various change orders, wastewater information network system project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize the issuance of deduct change order number 98 in the amount of $3,487,849 for the wastewater collection revised scope. 2, authorize the issuance of deduct change order number 103 in the amount of $227,927 for the integration services D scope. 3, authorize the issuance of change order number 136 in the amount of $1,800,000 for the existing and additional maintenance and training for the capital improvement program projects. 4, authorize the issuance of change order number 137 in the amount of $2,639,875 for the conversion of custom faceplates to be paid after the conversions are completed. And 5, authorize the issuance of partial closeout change order number 138 for the settlement of claim number 4 that settles all claims by Honeywell International Inc. associated with the Los Angeles Wastewater Information Network System project in the net amount of $11,075,901 as outlined in the term sheet. I will spare a redo of all the work orders, and I believe who is presenting on this, Dr. Campos?
Mr. President, I have Sam Alavi.
Yeah, I think he's hi Sam. I don't think Sam's supposed to be presenting. I think it's actually Ali Pusti in one of his final.
Okay, let me go ahead and allow him to join in as a panelist. I had Sam taking the lead on this.
President Good, this is Ted. I'm sorry to interject. We also have available, should the board have any questions, my colleague Adina Hopenstand, the General Counsel for LA SAM.
Great, thank you for flagging, Ted. Good morning, Ms. Hopenstand.
I think she has to be admitted in.
Oh, okay.
I sent her my link. We're still working out some of the kinks in the webinar format, so she was having some difficulty. So I sent her the link that Dr. Campos had provided to me. So when she comes in, for fair warning, she may come in as Ted Jordan. I am in communication with her in case she has difficulty getting in, and I can relay that to the board.
Let me go ahead and send the invite again to Adina. Right now, she declined earlier, but let me go ahead and try it again. Adina, you should receive another invite in about 5-10 seconds. Mr.
Thank you. I apologize for the interruption.
No worries, Ted. I'm still trying to maneuver as
I know.
When folks speak, it moves everyone out of the queue. So I have 15 people on one side and 21 people on the other side. So I have 36 people that I'm trying to maneuver.
It's all good. And President Good, while we're waiting for the technical issue to be worked out here, just so you know, Dr. Williams in the prior matter mentioned something about not seeing video. I'm told by others who I've been in contact with that they can actually see video from the board hearing. So maybe as part of our sort of working out the technical issues, we need to just sort of verify what the public can see and what they cannot see. It's not a Brown Act issue.
No, not at all. Not a Brown Act issue. My understanding is audio is the minimum requirement, which is available to all members of the public.
We can talk more offline.
Yeah, and we are moving towards a webinar video format. We should get there in the next week or two. At that point, all members of the general public will have access to the video.
We're getting there, folks. Yeah, so thank you, Ted. Thank you, Dr. Campos. I guess while we're waiting for Ms. Hoppenstand, I'll take a moment of privilege and thank Mr. Pusti for an extraordinary career of service to the City of Los Angeles, to the Bureau of Sanitation, to this board, to the department, and to Angelinos. Ali, it has been a pleasure working with you literally at every turn. You are dedicated, committed, brilliant, responsive, accessible, and it is a loss to not have you with us anymore. So while it's good to see you, I am sad you're leaving, and happy for you. I know y'all are. I think you said you and your better half got some traveling to do and some projects to do. I hope there's much wine involved. Yeah, congratulations, Ali.
Thank you much. Good morning, Mr. President, commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here one last time. You know, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm here today to present this series of change orders. And if you don't mind, I will take a minute at the end to show my appreciation.
Please do.
So, I'm with Bill Adina as well, so if there are questions, Adina, Public City Attorney, can also assist in responding to some of the questions that they may come up.
By the way, thanks, Ali, for making your last presentation a real simple one.
I wanted to make it memorable.
Well, since you put like many years of your life into this one, I knew you weren't going to let this not. You weren't going to not take care of it on your own. So, proceed, and you will definitely have some time at the end.
All right. Thank you so much. So today, as you pointed out correctly, Mr. President, I'm here to request a deduct change order number 98 in the amount of $3,487,849. Another change order number 103 in the amount of deduct $227,927. An add change order number 136 for $1.8 million. A change order for 137 for $2.6 million for some conversion. And finally, the settlement of claim number 4 for $11,075,000. So I will provide a very brief background and then a brief background on each change order, and then we will proceed accordingly. So on November 14, 2011, the Board of Public Works awarded a contract to Honeywell International in the amount of $88,637,000 and some change, plus contingency of $88.8 million for a total amount of $97.5 million. The project consisted of 5 segments that consisted of Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Wastewater Collection Systems, Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant, Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant, and Donaldson-Tillman Water Reclamation. This was to replace the old antiquated control system that was in place with the more updated version of it for distributed control system. So the first one, the change order number 98 is for wastewater collection system deduct. There have been many changes over time that has transpired through collection system requirements and priorities. Consequently, there have been several adjustments made to the original scope. The original scope of work required that Venice pumping plant plus 11 additional wastewater pumping plants to be converted to Honeywell DCS. However, it was determined that it's more cost effective if all pumping plants, which is 44 of them, plus the air treatment facilities and the stormwater facilities all combined and converted all at the same time as part of one future project. This makes more sense for the city. So the city and the Honeywell had reached an agreement of a deduct change order of $3.4 million and some change to be deducted from the project. Change order number 103 is for the original scope of project required that the treatment plants, maintenance and operation, reporting and tracking systems to be integrated into Honeywell's system. However, during the course of the project, sanitation determined that it was more cost effective and efficient if the wastewater maintenance programs were all consolidated into one specialized program that consisted of all the facilities and not only one segment. Again, city and contractors negotiated this scope, and we are deducting $227,000 from original amount. Change order number 136 is that in addition to the normal staff turnover, either through attrition, transfer, promotion, or other means, and as part of a normal operation, each water reclamation plant regularly goes through system optimization upgrades. Each one of these changes and modifications impact the hardware and software control strategy associated with it. And with continually changing controls and software upgrades, operators and maintenance group training is critical in operating these plants. As part of this change,
Hey, Donna.
as part of this closeout, we wanted to address the maintenance of the new control system added as part
Donna
of
Grayson.
as part of the additional CIP projects. The change order provides maintenance and refresher training for these hardware and software upgrades that are happening as part of the capital improvement projects. And it will also, so we will provide 10 days of training through 2028 every year for the operator training. It extends the programmable control module maintenance for up to 10 additional PCMs that is going to be yet to be installed as part of the capital improvement projects. And it would also add input-output hardware and existing PCMs that are installed as part of the CIPs as well, but are not part of the LODs. So this altogether comes to an add of $1.8 million from now through 2020. That's for the whole thing. Change order number 137 is that in the course of the project, at the request of operators, faceplates were customized to match existing systems. However, over time, it was realized that newly customized faceplates were not supported by Honeywell's mandated system upgrades. With custom faceplates and service security patches were not possible. Therefore, having custom faceplates was a deterrent and made the system vulnerable to hacking of operations and interruptions. So as part of the change order 137, as city has chosen to convert back the DCS faceplates into standard Honeywell faceplates.
Can I ask you one quick clarifying question, Mr. Pusti? I just feel like it would be helpful for everybody. What are, I'm going to just ask, what are the custom faceplates?
So faceplates on the monitor, you will see a series of, for instance, pumps and valves. And behind the scene, there is a series of controls that control each valve. How this is demonstrated on the screen and is reacted in the background is called faceplate. So, for instance, if you have a pump, you turn the pump off. On the background, it tells you while you turn the pump off, you have to turn the valve on, turn the other valve off, put pump number 1 off or on. So it has a series of instructions in the background that these faceplates do. Initially, those faceplates that were installed as part of this project, the operators were not familiar with, and they didn't feel comfortable working with the Honeywell system. But over time, as I said, they made our system vulnerable to hacking if they were not the security patches were to be installed.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I just thought it would be helpful for everybody.
Of course.
That makes sense.
Of course. And then, so the city negotiated that change order to be 2.6 to convert some of these faceplates back to the standard. Finally, the change order number 138 is for the closeout change order. It's a summary of it's a claim that it was filed by Honeywell. Initially back in 2017, April of 2017, city was informed that the Honeywell plans to file a claim for almost $60 million and 11,000 hours of man hours for the project. And then the city requested more information. Then in May 19 of 2017, Honeywell submitted a request to issue a change order. This change order was did not specify any amount, but it requested that change order to be issued later. But about a year later, March of 2018, Honeywell submitted revised the $60 million down to $28.1 million and almost 6,000 man hours. City requested more information and data. In November of that year, 2018, Honeywell submitted their first detailed request of that claim forward to specific. They provided over 20 folders and hundreds of pages of document to about $23 million in downwards to almost 1,400 days. City offered further meetings and negotiations. On December 19 of 2018, Honeywell readjusted that number from 23 million to $20 million, and with 1,400 man days. Yet, city asked for more documentation and investigation continued. On January 15, 2019, that $21 million almost was reduced back to $17 million. $1,400. On March 18, 2019, 3 months later, the mandates were, after negotiations and discussion, the mandates were reduced to 1,100 mandates, and the dollar amount was reduced from 16.917 million to 16 million. But there was a little money add to it for the electrical board. About the same time, we were also informed that the claim for did not include some of the additional impact that Honeywell intended to include. So they added 6 more items to the claim that brought the claim up to about $22 million. The negotiations lasted almost 3 years, and during these 3 years, finally on February 2021, both parties reached an impasse, and we could not we could not agree on anything. So in April, we did open discussion again, that we agreed to enter into a mediation. Mediation happened on June 2nd and 3rd of 2021, and over 2 days of negotiation, finally at the end of the 2 days, we both reached an agreement for an amount of $11,075,901. Settle this amount. So this amount closer, as part of the partial closeout change order, addresses all the 5 segments that was in dispute, moves the end of construction to June 12th of 2020, and includes all the time delays, and all those delays were agreed to be non-compensable. Furthermore, the city and parties agreed to withdraw all outstanding claims, change orders, and requests for change orders not presented in this claim. So it settles all disputes between both parties. At the end of this negotiation, we add and deduct this number of change orders, it will be a net change of $11.8 million that would settle this case. That concludes my presentation. If there's any question, I'll be more than happy to respond.
All right, Mr. Pusti, let's open it up. Colleagues, I'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. And Ali, before I don't have any questions. You briefed me on this, and so I asked my questions during the briefing. And I'll ask this one again, just to be clear. Right after these change orders, we're pretty much in a good standing situation with Honeywell, right?
That is correct, ma'am. We are in good terms, thank God. We have reached an agreement on all fronts. Honeywell and us are on the same page, moving forward into maintenance phase.
Perfect. Thank you, Ali. And on a personal note, Ali, you are going to be sorely missed by sanitation, by the city, your work, your leadership, and just your way of being so flexible, understanding, but also a leader within your writing and your career. So thank you so much, Ali, for your time, and thank you so much for always making me feel like this is something easy, which is not, but you make it seem like it is. And I just want to say that I wish you nothing but the best for you, for your family, and I hope you travel to really cool places and eat really good things, and that you have a great time. And you well deserve this retirement. So you will be missed 110%, but happy for you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Well, Ali, thank you so very much for this motion as you give us your culminating work here in closing out this partial closeout order. And I think you leave us much better than you found us, that we are leaving with a great relationship with Honeywell. So we appreciate this motion in terms of the work that has been done as far as our working relationships are concerned. But also, in addition to those comments, I want to compliment you for the work that you've always done through my little time here on the Board of Public Works. You've always been the consummate professional, and we certainly wish you the very, very best. And we thoroughly enjoyed your presentations with us and the issues that you worked on the board. And I know that you're going to, as President Good says, you're going to be able to partake of some great wine in your future endeavors. So get one for us as well. And congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
I can assure you that it being a Friday or a day ending in Y, I won't wait for Ali to give me a glass, but I will invite Commissioner Kleza.
Great, thank you, President Good. Thank you for your report, Mr. Pusti. You're going out with a bang. A very small item you're presenting here on your last day, so I'm sure your colleagues, especially Sam, is very relieved that you're presenting this one because it's a complicated timeline to follow with lots of numbers and change orders and understanding the complexity of what this is. But a much needed upgrade to the facilities for sure. One of the questions that I had, and curious if a representative is here from Honeywell, but I would love to hear from them specifically about what happened here on the faceplates, only because this communication of us being notified after the fact is resulting in a $2.6 million change order. So maybe before, and I believe somebody is here, if we can hear from them, can you just remind me again, Mr. Pusti, what was the delivery method for this project? Is it
This project was a design-build project.
So Honeywell designed it?
That's correct. It was design-built. It was actually the point of contention was that the owner's interference for that claim 4 was owner interference, meaning that the city was interfering in the design of this project by putting extra requirements and asking and directing the contractor. I have, Miss Lori Lee, the Honeywell, supposed to with us. I forwarded the link to her. So I'm not sure if Dr. Campos can let her in on the call.
Yeah, absolutely. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. If you are a member from the Honeywell team, if you can please raise your hand at this time. Great. I see Miss Lee. Oh, wait. I see 2 hands. Lori Lee?
Yes. Yes, Lori.
Lori, I am going to go ahead and send you an invite at this time to join the webinar, or to join the panel of the webinar. And give me 1 second. I'm going to have you turn on your video, your video, and then I can go ahead and there you are.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, now you've joined. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to also get on the bandwagon and recognizing Ali, consummate professional, very, very difficult project, very complicated project. I can go on, and I think everybody's heard it. But Honeywell International would personally like to thank the support that he's had with working with us, all of the good, bad, difficult, all of it. It was a great experience. We've left the city with a very, very good system, and we're very proud that we got the opportunity to work with the city, and especially Ali and his team. So let's get back to the question of the faceplates. I can't remember what the crux of the question is, but one of the questions that Ali and I discussed a little bit is, why are we waiting so long to do these? We had to make a decision during this. This was kind of it doesn't feel like it was a kind of rapidly moving project. So we had to make a decision to revert some of the faceplates to standards in post-mortem. What probably wasn't stated here is we have reverted a large majority of them, especially in the very critical areas of the Hyperion water treatment plant. But we did this midway through the project because we felt that we would have had experienced additional delays that we did not want to have to incur. So that by doing this midstream. So what we have determined, what we got around to at the end is if the work had begun, if we had begun this work immediately, the changes would have been complicated by the ongoing work that we were seeing. We had to bring in seasonal constraints, rainy seasons, ongoing CIP projects, on the systems, as well as many other issues that we were trying to bridge in as we were going through this faceplate. So rather than go work backwards, we felt it would have been much more efficient to revert the previously commissioned faceplates at the end of the project. And we've been working with Ali and his team to get these faceplates updated in as a timely manner as possible. We've also been supporting operations through all of this diligently, so there's nobody left with not being supported. Does that answer your question? I think it was Ms. Garcia? No, Calosa.
It was myself, kind of. I mean, I guess my question was, if you're the designer on record, why wasn't this issue identified that we shouldn't use a unique or custom faceplate if you knew that this wouldn't work with your system? Only because now it is costing the city $2.6 million if you had flagged this earlier on.
Well, I'm going to let Ali talk a little bit, and then I'll add if the flagging of the system was done. Again, we're moving at a very rapid rate, and I think I'll let you fill in the blanks for me. But we did identify it. We were into it, deep into it, or partially into it, so we had to collect ourselves, make a decision, go forward, and complete the project as best we could without making any more additional impacts. So we tried to minimize this to its greatest degree. Ali, was there anything you'd like to add?
No, that's pretty good. So as Lori pointed out, this is a fast, although it took 9 years to finish this, but it was a very fast-pacing project. Yeah. And at the earlier stages, as was alluded to, the operators had difficulty of really working with the Honeywell system at that time. There was quite a bit of resistance, actually, on using the system, converting to the new. So that created that scenario that we had to do a custom plate so we can get the operators on the same page as us, so we can try to accept the project and try to implement them with minimal training. And but midway through the project, almost nearly all the design was completed, and most of the construction was done. We realized that as I said, that the security patches are not going to be working, and that Honeywell told us that this system is going to create a problem during the upgrades, which are they mandated as part of the contract to do regularly, and that would have been prevented from. Nobody realized when it was being converted including Honeywell, that we were using the faceplates initially, but it was converted that we're going to face this problem. We thought it was going to be an easy fix and an easy job to do, but it turned out to be not so.
Okay, yeah, just no, I understand you're trying to explain the complexity of the problem, but as written, right, it's being explained, and I know hindsight is a lot easier, but it's always frustrating to see change orders like this when it's a design build delivery for things that should have been caught in the design phase. And I guess one last question for you, Ms. Lee, before I yield my time, and is, can you speak a little bit to the security for Honeywell? And I ask that because we're transitioning to a new system, right, of one that can be operated remotely. And this is a new transition for the city, and we want to make sure that we have really good security for our operations, especially our wastewater treatment systems. And just curious if you can just elaborate a little bit about your system, since we don't always get to speak to you directly.
So I'm not going to talk directly about remote access. I think I'm going to, well, I'm not quite understanding what remotely means, but what I want to describe, if you will adhere to it is how secure our systems are. So at Honeywell, we take cybersecurity, security in our systems very seriously. And we've been an active participant and leader in the ISA Secure security standards body for the industrial control systems. Honeywell's products and processes are independently audited, certified and tested to these cyber standards. While Honeywell takes substantial precautions to secure our systems, cybersecurity, as we all know, requires vigilance on all of our customers' parts to assure these systems remain secure through the ongoing monitoring, configuration, and procedures.
Thanks, Ms. Lee, for that. And then one last question for me from Mr. Pusti is for the actual amount that we're funding. I know the action that the board is taking, is a very specific amount, but then at the conclusion on page 6, I know that it says that the not to exceed amount is 11,800,000, and just curious if we need to make any corrections there so it's consistent. And I only ask that just because it is a big difference between the amount that we're authorizing, just so it's consistent for our records about what the amount is that the board is actually approving.
So the actual amount, after we add and deduct the change orders, remember we have 2 deduct change orders and 3 add change orders. Once you do that math, that will come to 11.8 million. That is the correct amount. The claim itself is 11,075,000, but when we add, when we deduct change orders number 98 and 103, and then add change orders 136 and 137 to it, the net amount is 11.8 million. So 11.8 is the correct one.
Okay. I'm going to have to do a little bit of additional math here so I can make sure this makes sense and I understand it completely, so I can follow your numbers. But I will yield the rest of my time and just conclude with thank you, Mr. Pusti, for your service to the city and LA Sanitation. And it's been a huge pleasure working with you. You're going to be sorely missed, and I hope that you're proud of the work that you've done, because we're proud that you've been part of our family. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Pusti, for the report. I know that you briefed me as well. I appreciate Ms. Lori Lee's comments as well, and just the context that you provided. It's helpful. I had the same question as Commissioner Coloso, just in terms of the face plates and the design and the timing of those, and why wasn't it caught sooner, but thank you for answering that. And during my briefing, I also asked what a faceplate was. Not something that we use in our common jargon. So I don't have any further questions, and congratulations, Mr. Pusti, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Villegas. Yeah, I mean, most of my questions have been addressed as well. I mean, I'm very happy that this, for lack of a better way to put it, gives an opportunity to put this to bed and be able to move forward. In essence, these are just the change orders to close the loop on the overall agreement, correct?
That is correct.
And Ms. Hoppenstand, anything you want to add, by the way?
No, I have nothing more. Ali was very thorough in his presentation. Just wanted to be available should there have been any questions for me. But I also will miss Ali too, and I'll take the moment since you gave me the opportunity. Worked with him on a number of projects, and He knows how to get things done. He is easy to work with, easy to talk to, and is an amazing negotiator with a great tone for the city. And I know that I'm very sad that he's going to be leaving us.
Thank you, Adina.
Well, you joined the club. That is for sure. I don't. I mean, this is a very big item. I don't have follow-up questions. It's pretty clear, and this is welcome resolution to a long simmering challenge, and obviously everything that impacts our wastewater collection system and processing facility or reclamation facilities today has a sort of exclamation point and underline on the utility and the need and the value add. So thank you. I will motion to move the item forward, and then Mr. Pusti, I'm going to give you some time. I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any objections or concerns? Garcia, Colosa, or Davis?
None for me.
All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Mr. Pusti, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, commissioners. I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation. I've been with the city for 33 years. And this board I've been to this board many, many times. And commissioners, such as yourselves, have expressed, have supported my ideas and have all been supportive of what we're trying to do in the city. I do appreciate your candor and the friendship that we have built over the years. This board has a great task, and it is our job to make sure your job is easier. And I hope that together we have made the city a better place to live. For sure that I know that I am leaving the city in good hands. The people that are in my office, I know they have done a great job, and they are good people to follow. And it has been a total pleasure coming to the board and sometimes getting beat up and scolded, but most of the time being agreeable to what I've had to say. And I do appreciate that very much from the sincerely appreciate your friendship and your support. And for sure I will miss all of you as a city employee, but this doesn't mean I'm not going to come to the board and get bugged every once in a while. So I am sure that this is not a goodbye, but so long, in my opinion. So I would hope to see every one of you soon, sooner than later, I say. And I thank you very much for the time that was given to me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Pusti. I think I can speak for the board in saying perhaps the highest compliment I could offer would be that if we had any authority among our fairly vast authority to put the kibosh on this, I think we would have a unanimous vote and it would be moved forthwith. So unfortunately for us, and fortunately for you and your family, we have no such authority. Know that in spirit, we'd get in front of you in a heartbeat, man. I would just echo again what a pleasure it is. On top of all of it, it's just always pleasant to work with you. And in a world of sharks, that's no small compliment. And so thank you for your friendship, and thank you for your service, and thank you for your commitment, and go enjoy yourself. All right, brother?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll keep the bottle open. Chill.
Please. Always, Ali. Yeah, now there's no holds barred. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
So much. And thank you, Ms. Lee, and thank you, Ms. Hopkins-Penn, for joining us, okay? All right, colleagues, let's take a 5-minute recess. We will return at 11:31 in the a.m.
Hey, thank you.
And news. I saw Mike in the hall.
Yeah.
See you.
He did. Okay, there we go.
Recording is on, Mr. President. If you'd like, I can go ahead and reestablish quorum for you.
Yes, sir, please do.
Great, it's 11:34 a.m. Reestablishing quorum, we have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Villegas and Caloza. President Good, you do have a quorum.
Terrific. Thank you, Dr. Campos. As a reminder, folks, we've continued item 4. Item 5 has been withdrawn. That brings us to item 6. Item 6 is to execute amendment number 3, pre-qualified on-call landscape architectural services, 11 consultant contracts, recommending the board 1, approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor and city council requesting the following. A, approve amendment number 3, increasing the total contract term from 13 to 15 years to each of the contracts between the City of Los Angeles and the following 11 firms. AECom Technical Services, Inc., David Evans and Associates, Inc., David Volts Design Landscape Architects, Inc., MLA Green, Inc., DBA Studio MLA Green, Moore Icafano Goldsman, Inc., DBA MIG, formerly Abe Landscape Architects, MIG, Northeast Trees, Nubis, RJM Design Group, Inc., RRM Design Group, Troller Meyer Associates, Inc., Withers and Sandgren Limited. If any of those folks are on here and I've butchered their name, please forgive and indulge. An old boy from Texas. B, authorize the president or 2 board members of the board to execute amendment number 3 for each of the 11 contracts identified above, and 2, direct the Bureau of Engineering to not issue any additional work or task orders to consultants whose Los Angeles Business Assistance virtual network profiles are not current with regards to their compliance documents as discussed in this report. I see Stephen Fierce with us, as well as Deputy City Engineer Deborah Weintraub. I think, Mr. Fierce, are you presenting?
Yes. Good afternoon, President Good and Commissioners.
Good morning to both of y'all. It's good to see you.
Background on this, the original pre-qualified on-call contracts between the city and the firms providing landscape architectural consultant services for various projects was executed on September 4th, 2008. 2 contract amendments have been approved by the board extending the contracts through September 2nd, 2021. The amendment number 3 before you is requested to provide BOE with ongoing support for consulting landscape firms to give some of these firms more time to complete their existing task orders. The proposed contract term would run through September 2nd, 2023. During the 2-year term, the proposed contract amendment number 3, the city engineer will assess whether a request for qualifications will be necessary to establish a new PQOC landscape architectural consultant list. Of the 11 firms, 6 have been awarded tasks since September 2008, and 5 have not, with a total of 12 tasks awarded. Of the 12 tasks that have been awarded, 6 have been under $100,000 or under the threshold for application of the Minority Business Enterprise, Women's Business Enterprise, or other business enterprise subcontractor outreach program. Currently, there are a total of 5 active task orders, and one of the task orders is on hold and has not had any invoices submitted to date.
Thank you.
Thank you. The distribution of the original RFQ for these contracts, the city had established an anticipated WEB participation level of 12% and 2%. 2 of the consultants have been issued task orders that are over $100,000. MLA Green achieved an overall 8.3 MBE participation level and a 4.8 WBE participation level. And MIG has achieved an overall 18.2% MBE participation level and 8.9 WBE participation level. This amendment is for time extension only, and funding has been and will be obtained on a task-by-task basis. So in summary, we are requesting to extend the PQOC landscape architectural consultant list for an additional 2 years. Over the last 13 years, BOE has utilized the list on average once per year. In the current board report, the city engineer will assess whether to request for qualifications will be necessary to establish a new PQOC list going forward. Due to BOE staff reductions this year, we do not have sufficient capacity to create a new list, which is more labor-intensive effort and involves considerably more time to complete. There are currently 5 active NTPs under this contract, and rather than allowing the list to expire, we recommend extending the PQOC list for an additional 2 years. That concludes my briefing.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Dr. Campos, I believe we have a public comment caller on this item.
We may, Mr. President. Thank you very much for acknowledging that. We have 2 callers with their hands raised. We're going to go ahead and take the first caller ending in 403. Caller ending in 403. Your microphone has been opened. If you can please press star.
Goddamn miracle!
This is item number 6. You have 2 minutes to speak on this item. Please go ahead.
Goddamn miracle! My God! They take public comment after I leave 2 voicemails for Dr. Campos.
Speak to the item. Be done. Speak to the item or be done.
Listen there, dumbass. You got to reopen the other items I raised my virtual hand on, man. You didn't take public comment. Yeah, Mr. Davis, don't go to jail over this asshole from Texas, man. Ask what happened, man. You got real violations of law here. Don't go to jail over these motherfuckers, man. Don't be another Mitchell Englander. Don't do it, man. I don't care what these fucking people tell you, man. The FBI is looking into all
He needs to speak on the agenda item, Mr. President.
All you motherfuckers. You are not fucking taking public comment at this meeting legally, dude. I've been raising my hand for an hour and a half.
You've been
warned. What the fuck are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Why are you committing crime?
Goodbye.
When are you going to stop committing crime? Stop committing.
Dr. Campos, thank you. We have another caller.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll move on to the next caller. Caller ending in 682. Caller ending in 682. Your hand is raised. You will go ahead. We'll go ahead and allow you to speak. Please go ahead and press star 6 to unmute your microphone. You have 2 minutes to speak on item number 6. Again, caller ending in 682. Caller ending in 682. Your hand is raised. The Board of Public Works is considering item number 6. If you can please press star 6 to unmute your microphone. You have 2 minutes to speak on this item.
All right. I never indicated that I wanted to speak on item 6, only on 13 and 14.
Is this Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, 213 and 14 is what I have. Yes, your hand was raised. Okay, thank you. I will go ahead and lower your hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that clears the queue for this item.
Thank you, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Dr. Williams. All right, colleagues, any questions for Mr. Pierce, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Stephen, for Mr. Pierce. President Pro Tem Davis?
Mr. Pierce, how long have we had this particular list in operation?
The list was established in 2008, so right now it's about 13 years.
I see. And the challenge that we have now in terms of preparing to prepare another list, has it had any impact from the COVID-19 challenges we had, or specifically just what is it that we are not able to go back and now construct a new list, which is as scheduled at this point in time?
Yes, I think this past year we have encountered a lot of unusual impacts to the division. So my architectural division lost approximately 19% of our staff through the early retirements. In establishing the telecommuting program and with all of that activity that was going forward, it takes quite a bit of planning ahead of time to create a new list, as well as assess the need for a new list. So in light of that, that's where we decided to just extend this for 2 more years to give time to close these out and then reconsider. whether or not we need to establish a new list going forward.
Do we need absolutely 2 years, or would we be able to achieve what we need to do to prepare with one additional year?
It actually takes us approximately, I'd say about a year and a half to do a new list. And
I see.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that timing, but it could be potentially longer, but about a year and a half.
I see. Now, in terms of inclusion on the list, in terms of what we've been able to produce or accomplish, how would you paraphrase over the last 8 years we've been able to achieve inclusion, if you will, to any degree with inclusion? As you understand, the many challenges we have from the business community oftentimes, as we do lists, that helps us on one hand to expedite projects. On the other hand, there's always this struggle for other emerging businesses, if you will, and others in the industry that would like an opportunity. So the more frequently we implement the cycle, the more of an opportunity such groups get. So having said all of that, give me some of your feedback as it relates to what we have been able to accomplish with this list from 2008 to now, as you see it. Paraphrase it very briefly in terms of what you have observed about this particular list.
I wonder if I could step in here since I've been here.
Sure.
So this is Deborah Weintraub, Chief
Hi,
Deputy.
Deborah.
Hi, Deputy City Engineer. In all honesty, Commissioner Davis, the majority of the landscape work that's done for the Bureau of Engineering is through subconsultants to architectural and engineering firms, and that's where we've had inclusionary contracting. That's partly why this list has not been used very often, because most of the landscape work is done as subconsultants. It's rare where the landscapes are prime, and that's partly why we've extended it in the past.
I see.
To give people an opportunity, because there are 5 firms on this list that have not had any tasks in the whole time.
Sure.
But really, to answer your question, we'd have to look at the landscape subconsultant usage on other prime contracts.
Well, we always want to keep business moving so that we are functional and operational, and at the same time, we always want to balance it so that those in the industry who want an opportunity to do business with us, that we are implementing cycles that create that opportunity, particularly when it's time to do it. But, you know, while I support this, I did have that concern and wanted to make sure that you know that, you know, extending this is sometimes what we have to do. There were unforeseen circumstances, I realize, but I always want to keep an eye towards what it is that we can do to be inclusive over a time, because it's cyclical. You know, you have 10 years or how many ever years you have, and we want to make sure that we become a system that can be open, and then you didn't have a chance last 10 years, but you can have one in the new one. So anyway, supporting this, I just want to make sure that the department, the Bureau, knows that we definitely always want to put an eye towards creating that new opportunity when it's time.
Understood.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis and Points well taken. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you so much, Deborah and Mr. Fierce, on your report. I don't have any question. My colleagues just asked a very good question. Other than that, thank you. I support this this list that we have here.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner.
What's wrong with it?
Commissioner Villegas? Yours?
Yes.
No, Commissioner Villegas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, actually, why don't you, Commissioner Coloso, why don't you go ahead? We have sirens here.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, okay.
I was having a little bit of technical issues. I just changed computers, and this one is touch screen, and I lost where the mouse is. Thank you for your report. I appreciate the information. Just a clarification, just going through the board letter, looks like you mentioned that 5 firms haven't had any work. And the board letter, I guess I just got myself a little confused. Is it recognizing those that have not had any work?
I'll defer that to Deborah if it's okay.
Go ahead. Oh, you want me to go ahead? The board report indicates which firms have had work and which have not. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And then just your Directive 4 says that, all 11 firms should be, I guess, like up to date with our LA Babin. And do you know if there's any of them that are out of date or like not current? And have they been made, contacted just so that they can get current?
Yes, I was working with Con Ed, our colleagues at Con Ed. They pointed out that a number of firms, and I don't remember exactly how many, needed to update their information. And we concurred, we've contacted them, but I don't believe that they've completed the updates as of today.
Okay.
Which is why that clause is in there, which is you can't get any work till you do your updates.
Yeah. That makes sense. I appreciate it. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Kleza.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Fierce and Ms. Weintraub. They briefed me on this item. And thanks for being here, Ms. Weintraub. Always nice to see you.
Thanks, Commissioner Kleza. Yeah, my only question, clarifying, and because Mr. Fierce and I talked about this, we actually have in-house crews to do some of this work. That's part of why this contract is so, or these contracts are so, or this list is so, I don't want to say underutilized, or just rarely engaged, right?
It's both because we have an excellent in-house staff of landscape architects and because the majority of the landscape work is done as a subconsultant to either an architect or an engineering company who is the prime. So it might be a building project where the architect is the prime and there's landscape to be done. So it's both reasons, Commissioner.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, I want to, for the record, echo or support President Pro Tem Davis's comments, not with any derision towards this report, just that as a matter of practice, we do want to constantly be giving folks new bites to the apple, but I understand the exigencies involved here. So I think that's the elegance of the very short extension, which will give you time to figure out the landscape moving forward. All right, with that, I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
I'm sorry, President Good. I'm looking at the meeting attendee list. I could be mistaken, but I do see a hand raised. It's a caller whose phone number ends in 403. So before we entertain any motions or vote on the item, my recommendation is we just verify that whether or not we have a member of the public who wants to speak, because I do see a hand raised.
Yeah, Mr. Jordan, I believe that is the person who actually already did speak on the item. Or
okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I just want to be absolutely sure.
Yeah. Dr. Campos, can you confirm that, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, and you are correct, Mr. Chair. We did provide public testimony on this item already. However, we will open up the channel again for you. Caller ending in 403, caller ending in 403. You will now be allowed to speak. Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on. I'm sorry, please state your name and please speak on item number 6.
Can you read the item?
No.
Mr. Spindler, you're speaking because I asked the board to let you in. You already spoke on the item. It's up to the president here to entertain any further comment from you. However, you only really get to speak on the item once, and since I only see phone numbers, I don't know who previously spoke and who hadn't. I just saw the hand go up while I was checking. So
he was afforded an opportunity on this item.
Okay.
This item is closed to general comment or public comment.
Thank you.
Okay, I will take a motion to approve the item.
Commissioner Villegas said so moved, but we can't hear your
Second.
audio.
Oh,
So not you're motioning, if you're motioning, Commissioner Villegas.
she moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
You can hear me.
There we got you. Yeah,
Okay. My box doesn't come out yellow. There it goes.
there we go. And feel free to yell. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll take 2 seconds from Vice President Garcia and Commissioner Closa. Any concerns, President Pro Tem Davis?
None, I've already stated them. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. Hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
All right.
Ms. Weintraub, appreciate it. Y'all have great weekends, okay?
Thank you.
All right, folks, let's move to item number 7. Item number 7 is a motion. This is for a project in CD11, construction order. Miron Electric Construction Corporation recommending the board authorize the execution of the construction order to Miron Electric in the amount not to exceed $150,000, including contingency for work that includes but is not limited to assessment of the damage to the electrical equipment and repair or replacement of electrical equipment as deemed necessary to restore power. Dr. Campos, do we have any callers on this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have any callers on this item. However, I can call for any public comments. If you are a member of the general public that would like to speak on item number 7, if you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9. Again, if you are a member from the general public and would like to speak on item number 7, the Board of Public Works is now considering item number 7. Please raise your hand at this time. Mr. President, we have one caller on the line, caller ending in 403, caller ending in 403. You will be allowed to speak. Please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You have 2 minutes to speak on item number 7.
My God! You're allowing the privilege of public comment? When did you start doing that? That's amazing! Oh my God! That's amazing. And thank you, Mr. Jordan, for cutting me off.
Speak to the item,
Cutting me
please.
off.
Speak to the item, please.
How about when you had me falsely arrested 5 times, Mr. Jordan?
Mr. Spindler,
attorney.
Mr. Spindler, I appreciate your enthusiasm to speak here. But Mr. Spindler, you need to speak to the item.
One morning.
What about yesterday, when you didn't show up to court on the lawsuit yesterday at the Moss building? Your city attorney never showed up.
Mr. Spindler, you need to speak to the board's agenda item. And so the president has given you a warning. You need to constrain your comments to the agenda item. Thank you, Mr. Spindler.
Gentlemen of the public, whoever wishes to speak, time is precious. You get one warning. When you are called on to speak to an item, you will speak to the item or you will not speak. You get one warning and then it's done. Not playing around. Thank you. All right, Mr. Wong.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Ethan Wong with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. Just want to take a quick sec to also congratulate Ali Kusti on his well-deserved retirement before he goes. He's done a lot of great work with EED, so just wanted to recognize that. So on to the motion. So there's a motion before the board to execute a construction order. This construction order will basically authorize the use of our pre-qualified on-call contractors for emergency repairs and construction services for wastewater facilities, mostly at our water reclamation plants. So under the guidelines of the list that BOE manages, we solicit work from the contractor that's on the top of the list, and contractors are rotated to the bottom once they are authorized to perform work. So an emergency project was identified at Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant due to a major sewer spill that occurred on July 11th, 2021. This specific emergency project is at the sludge drying facility, as well as the Division Maintenance Annex. The sludge drying facility, also known as the SDF, houses the electrical equipment that supplies power to the Division Maintenance Annex, or the DMA. The DMA did lose power due to flooding at the SDF and damage to that electrical equipment. And the DMA is critical for maintenance staff as it houses their locker rooms and other facilities that the staff use for daily operations. So it's critical that this facility have power. And this emergency project construction order will basically follow the scope of work, which will be assessment of damage caused by the flooding to the electrical equipment and repair and place electrical equipment as deemed necessary. On July 20th, Commissioner Colosa provided emergency authorization to begin the work at a not to exceed amount of $150,000. So we reached out to Myron Electric Construction Company, also known as Myron Electric, who was at the top of the list to solicit their help on this project, and they accepted the work. So current status of the work, Myron has been on site since July 20th assessing the issues. To date, they have been able to supply temporary power to the DMA facility, and we appreciate all their efforts on the project to date. The project is still undergoing assessment, so we are expected to be at board again to potentially increase this amount of authorization due to the continued assessment of damaged electrical equipment. That concludes my report at this time. I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Vice President Garcia, any questions?
Thank you, President Good, and thank you, Ethan Wong, for your report. Just a quick clarification. This work is not the work that's happening at the Headworks building, right?
That's correct. This is separate.
Okay. And I expect that's forthcoming, right? That other electrical work that needs to happen there?
Yeah, that'll come as a separate item.
Got it. Okay, I don't have any other questions. I'm glad that we're moving along quickly on this. It's very well needed, and obviously this piece of the plant is as important as every other piece. So when the time is right, I fully support this motion to move forward.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis. You're muted, Dr. Davis.
Use that. No questions for me on this particular item.
Okay. All right, thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
So, just a point of clarification. I see the motion and it says that this contract is in response to the Hyperion water reclamation incident that did take place on July 11th. So this contract before us is related to that. I thought I heard you say that it was not.
No, it is related to that.
Okay. Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Wong. I think he did a great job explaining how BOE is supporting LACN in the recovery efforts at Hyperion. So thank you for your work on this, Mr. Wong, and for BOE and LACN working closely together.
Thank you.
Ditto. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. Thank you, BOE, and thank you, Sanitation. I don't think there's any secret. We have lots of work to do. This is, as Vice President Garcia alluded to, this is a potential drop in the proverbial bucket we will be dealing moving forward. So I'll motion to adopt the item. Do I have a second?
A second.
Any objections, Davis, Colosa?
No objections for me.
Okay. Hearing none, the motion, item number 7, is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. And thanks, Commissioner Colosa, for being on top of the approval in real time when it had to happen. So, thank you all. All right, I'm going to take items 8 through 11 together. I will read them into the record. I will then open for public comment, Dr. Campos, if anyone hopes to speak on those items. And then we'll take them in sum. Item number 8 is an authority for expenditures. State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $240,000 to encumber funds to pay annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit and all other fees from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. Item 9, Authority for Expenditures, State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $518,000 or $518,400 to encumber funds to pay annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System and stormwater fees from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. Item number 10 is an authority for expenditures, State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $160,880 to encumber funds to pay annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System and stormwater fees from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. And item 11, Authority for Expenditures, State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $822,000 to encumber funds to pay annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit fees from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. My gut says that Mr. Fan will be presenting on these items with support from Mr. Ruiz and Mr. Mayu, and correct me if I'm wrong. Mr. Fan?
President Good, this is Ted. I'm sorry to interrupt. I do see the raised hand in the queue for public comment.
Yep. Dr. Campos, let's go ahead and have our public comment on the item.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer of the Board of Public Works. The Board of Public Works Chair has requested any public comments on items number 8, 9, 10, and 11. If you are a member of the general public that would like to provide any public commentary on items 8, 9, 10, or 11, if you can please press star 9 to raise your hand at this time. Again, if you are a member from the general public that would like to speak on item number 8, 9, 10, or 11, if you can please press star 9 to raise your hand. Mr. President, we have 1 caller on the line, caller ending in 403, caller ending in 403. You will be allowed to speak. Please go ahead. You have an aggregate total of 8 minutes.
Oh, good. So this is about the Clean Water Act. So your board, Mr. Jordan, for 3-4 years has been covering up your fucking discharge facility violation. You have deferred maintenance. Look at your last 4 years of agendas. How many times have you been patching up that thing? It don't work. And they had a major sewage overflow. And did you have backup pumps? You know, the power went out. Did you have backup generators for backup pumps in the event of that? No. So you discharged all the city shit and needles and tires and everything into the Pacific Ocean because you couldn't fucking evacuate the employees. And you're renewing these permits under the Clean Water Act. You're in violation of the Clean Water Act. You violated your permit. How the fuck are you going to renew your permit? Who did you pay off over there? You know, nobody in America gets away with something like this shit but this corrupt fucking city. And what do you 5 commissioners do? Are you engineers? Did you ever go out there? Did you ever tour the facility unannounced? No. You're full-paid commissioners who do nothing but sit in those overstuffed fucking chairs 2-3 times a week and just vote aye at every fucking expense and never ask for anything, never follow up. I can't believe what the fuck you did to our environment. This is an environmental disaster. You dumped raw sewage into our Pacific Ocean and contaminated our waters, poisoned fish and wildlife. For what? Because you guys don't do your fucking job. You rely on these staff. Who are these fucking staff? It's your responsibility as commissioners to protect our citizens from liability. And you're not doing nothing, Jordan. You started this meeting and the last meeting with no public comment. No, we won't allow it. We won't offer it. Because you don't want to hear about this. 4 million people. How many are speaking? One idiot sitting in a truck on a cell phone needing a goddamn tank of gas. Is that all there is? Where are you environmental fucking lawyers? Where's Dr. Williams, the genius? Where's he at? Where the fuck are the fucking attorneys for the fucking federal government? The FBI? Where are they? You can just dump raw sewage into the Pacific Ocean, almost kill city employees by drowning them in feces, and you guys are going to renew your permit? I don't get it. I know people that can't fucking dump a tire in a trash can without a permit. If you guys can dump raw sewage in the Pacific Ocean, and we're just sitting there, I'm going to combine all these items. And just sit in those fucking chairs and vote yes and say, we're working on the problem, we're moving ahead. You 5 should resign right now because you're fucking useless. You're a useless tool of a mayor who hides his deposition in federal court because he doesn't want you to know what he does to his employees on his staff.
First warning, off topic.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know the truth. You just want to vote yes and go home and just pretend that everything is okay. Well, it's not okay. You fucked up. And it's never going to be okay until you get the fuck out of there and we get 5 licensed, bonded, and insured commissioners that are professionals in the field, that go out, unannounced inspection, and find out why we dump raw sewage in the Pacific Ocean after spending $900 million on that facility in 10 years. I'd like to know that, Mr. Jordan. Wouldn't you? No, Wayne, I'm just a lawyer. I'm here. I'm just going to collect my pension. And when time comes, I'm going to flee and go to a state like Texas or Florida. Of course you are. Of course you are. Look at all the resignations and retirements. It's at a record level. Why? Because the rats are leaving the sinking ship. Can we get 5 people that give a fucking crap about our environment that will fix that goddamn problem and hold everybody accountable? Can we see that one fucking time? Can we get a mayor that's not a criminal? Can we get a city attorney that's not raided by the FBI? Can we get a controller that has some power over things? Can we get one council member that asks these questions? No. Because everybody's bought and paid for by developers, unions, PACs, more
Mr.
PACs.
Spindler, we're giving you some leeway here, but we have authorities for expenditure on the agenda.
Leeway?
Please keep to the items.
Yeah, I'm keeping to the items. I'm telling you about your fucking corruption and why this happens. Because you got 5 idiots in those chairs with no technical know-how or experience You guys just appoint clowns. You didn't get out there. You don't ask the questions. You show no rage. And the guy tells the staff, it's not related to the item. It is. Well, you said it wasn't related to that. You don't know what the fuck's going on. But you're going to sit in those chairs, those 5 commissioners, and you're going to collect that sour while you poison our waters, you endanger city employees, and then you want them to be vaccinated, or you're going to fire them? That happened today at 8:30 in the morning, okay? You guys are the fucking worst. You are the worst. The Bible talked about you.
Okay.
You are the money changers in the temple. You need to be removed from the temple.
He's had his warning. He's done. All right. Mr. Fan, can you please go ahead?
Yeah, good afternoon, President Good, commissioners, and board representatives, and Dr. Campos. I'm Michael Fan. I'm with the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant. So I'm here for the State Water Resources Control Board Authority for Expenditure. So this is covering MPD, like regular and routine fees for annual MPDS permitting fees, recycled water fees, and stormwater fees. So the amount we're requesting is an amount of $240,000. That concludes my report. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
So this is strictly for, you're strictly talking about item A on Terminal Island.
Yeah, just for Terminal Island only.
You want to get these? So what we have is the permit for Terminal A for Terminal Island, and then number 9 is for.
I think the water reclamation divisions. So like DCT and LAG plants, and I think the last one is Hyperion.
That's what I thought. Okay. Do you want to speak to all of those because it's the same process with them, correct?
Maybe I can defer it to Michael Ruiz and Ronald Mayuyu for their respective plans.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is Mike Ruiz. Manage Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant and LA Glendale Water Reclamation Plant. Good morning. Good morning. It's good afternoon, President Good and commissioners. So for DCT, we were requesting the amount of $518,400 for the National Pollution Discharge Limitation fees for 21-22. This covers, as Michael Fan stated earlier, is stormwater fees and the plant fees and the water recycling fees for the Don C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant. Over at LAG, we have the amount of $160,880 for those fees as well. Just to note that across the board, the difference between 2019 and 2020 fees, or 2020, those fiscal years 2020 to 2021, for stormwater fees went up about 5.29%. For the plant fees, it actually went up about 9.3%. We're expecting those to go up again. We have not seen a fee schedule yet for the 21-22 yet. So, and that's any questions. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz. Mr. Miyahu?
Good afternoon, President Good, commissioners. My name is Ronald Mayuyu from LA San Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. As mentioned, this is a request for the board to approve and execute an authority for expenditure for the amount of $822,000 to pay the annual National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System or NPDS permit fees for Hyperion. As a brief background, Hyperion treats 260 million gallons per day of wastewater, and most of the treated water is discharged through a pipe 5 miles long to Santa Monica Bay. This authority is requested for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayuyu. Colleagues, so any questions on any of the 4 items? Commissioner Villegas, you want to kick us off?
I don't have any questions, and this isn't a rubber stamp. Just addressing one of the callers. we do know what we're doing here. I know we all try not to let, some of the comments get to us, but is by way of reputation that I will not let somebody else speak ill of any of our names. So I will say that I don't have any questions on these items because I understand that these are all annual fees associated with each reclamation plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis.
Great, thank you. So in terms of the various annual fees, obviously, as a bureau, we apply for all of these at the same time. Thus, this is why we have all of these before us at the same time, because there is an annual fee done at a time certain that we have to submit. In terms of us getting our permit fee in on time, is there anything that we have to do in terms of preparing to submit for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit fee?
This is Mike Reese. The only time we have to submit anything is when we renew the permit. And that's probably every 5 years when we have to submit information. But here we just pay the fees. In fact, for Donaldson Tillman and the LA Glendale Water Reclamation Plant, our permit expires in April of 2022. So we're in the process now of submitting information to the regional board now.
I see. In terms of the various facilities that are presenting here today for the routine annual permit fee, in terms of renewal, are the renewal dates staggered, or are they all at the same time in terms of the various facilities for which we obtain annual permit fees?
I believe they're the same time, but this is the first time I think all of the plants have presented. But it's been different in the past. I presented, and I think one time with Hyperion presented at the same time. I don't remember all three of us, all the treatment plants presented at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So we don't usually present in the manner that we're presenting now, but occasionally we do, but not necessarily all the time.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And in terms of the other facilities, I know that, for example, the rate of fee is based upon what? Because of course there are different estimates of what is required for each facility. What are the elements of the criteria for the fees that we pay?
Commissioner Davis, this is Ron Mayuyu. I can answer that question. Yeah, the fees are based on flow, discharge flow. However, for Hyperion, we have to pay the maximum for the amount of flow that we are permitted to discharge Santa Monica Bay, which is 450 million gallons per day. So whatever is the maximum that the regional board approve as the permit fee, and the regional board actually sets the fee on an annual basis. That's why we don't even know what the actual cost would be, but we could estimate it's probably, as what Mr. Mike Ruiz had mentioned, maybe 5 to 10% of the previous year's annual fees. So we are, at this moment, we are just encumbering the funds in anticipation of when we receive the invoice or the permit fee invoice, maybe around December, we're ready to pay it on time.
So in summary, you're telling me that the fees are based upon flow, and that obviously those facilities that operate with a larger capacity have a larger flow, such as in, for example, Hyperion versus the other stormwater fee is only $160,000 because its flow that it manages is much smaller than would be Hyperion as an example. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, given that there are different rates and levels of flow from each facility, are there rates in which, or categories in which facilities fit as it relates to the National Pollutant Discharge Program? Do they have certain categories for which facilities fit as it relates to our classified permit? Or is it just one simple designated permit for all facilities?
There are different categories. For example, for Hyperion, we are permitted to a category that we are allowed to discharge to Santa Monica Bay, 5 miles from the shoreline. DCT, Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, and Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant may fall in the same category, but also at the same time they have, I would say, more stringent permit requirements because they discharge to a more sensitive body of water, and also the use of their water is actually they're also discharging producing Title 22 or recycled water.
Which facility are we referring to when you say a more sensitive area of water?
Tillman, DC Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, and SOAS Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, it's based also on what they call a threat assessment. How the fees are done, and what Ronaldo said about the flow, it's based on the design flow for the treatment plants.
Well, naturally, if you have more flow in your operation, you have more of a threat, given the criteria for evaluation from the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So having said that, when we look at the categories, because we've established that there are different categories for different facilities for which we have application for these annual permit and fees. What are the names of the categories? For example, I would suspect that Hyperion is on a larger level of operation. Obviously, we've established that it has a larger flow. What is the name of the category of permit and fee and license that we are assessed at from the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Program?
Commissioner Davis, I don't have that category in front of me, but I can provide it to you at a later time.
Okay. All right.
However, this falls under the California Water Code Section 13260.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all I was going to
Okay,
say.
good. So we do know that there are different categories. I definitely want to know those categories. I think it's important for public education and awareness as well as we begin to better understand our operation and the service that we provide to the city that you guys do an outstanding job at, but yet I think the gap in terms of knowledge for the general public is peaked as we begin to encounter the operation of our environmental agencies, such as those that we are presenting today. I wanted to finally ask, as we look at our operation, we are a large city, and certainly we have a much larger capacity, and we have a much larger operation in terms of the services that we provide in the business that we do with the Water Resource Control Board. I would suspect that Los Angeles does much more business than smaller cities do, obviously. So having said that, where do we fit in, to your knowledge, in terms of the fees that we have to obtain for Los Angeles as it compares to other municipalities in the region? Would you say that we are perhaps maybe we're 2/3 of the fee permitting businesses come out of Los Angeles, perhaps? Or do you happen to know?
I don't happen to know that information, but I'm sure, just to give you context, for example, Hyperion is the biggest, largest wastewater treatment plant or a water reclamation plant west of the Mississippi. Our treatment capacity is similar, almost similar, let's say, to LA County Sanitation District's wastewater treatment plant. But definitely we are one of the biggest dischargers in the nation.
That is correct, and I would think so. And what I'd like to know, and certainly when you get an opportunity, I'd like to know our footprint in the Southern California region as it relates to our operation, who we are, and what we do in terms of the fees that we obtain on an annual basis amongst our colleagues in Southern California. Who are we and where are we in terms of our operation as it relates to being permitted and paying fees in the National Pollutant Elimination System program in Southern California? When you get an opportunity, if you could let me know that, because I think that's also equally important to know our position in Southern California in our operation. We know that summarily, we are probably the largest, or one of the largest in the United States of America. But I also want to know where we fit into our very own region. So if you could give me that in the future at your convenience, it'd be helpful. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Coloso?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any additional questions to ask from what my colleagues already did. I appreciate Commissioner Davis's questions and agree with the sentiment of Commissioner Villegas. I will say to LA San, it is really helpful to see these all at one time, just because it allows us to better see this big picture, since sometimes we approve some of these fees in one meeting and then the next meeting it's a different set of fees, but it's actually for a different treatment plant, right? But all of these are, like you said, required as part of the permit approval process for us to actually maintain and operate the plant. So when possible, it'd be great to continue grouping them in one meeting like this, because I find it personally helpful as a board to see them all in one place. But thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I echo my colleagues on the board, Commissioner Coloso, on her comment. It really is nice to see them all at once. It makes a difference on that. And I know that in the past, President and I asked for a list of kind of all these annual fees that we pay, just so that we can see the big picture on this and not just get them in like slices. So appreciate the work that has gone into putting all these in one agenda item. I mean, well, not agenda, one agenda, but in the same agenda. Other than that, I don't have any questions. I think my colleague Davis did a good job in asking questions.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Yeah, I would echo. It's great to have these all together. It does contextualize for the public. I would note that the ad hoc advisory committee on the Hyperion incident that this board authorized for me to chair, along with Vice Chair Commissioner Villegas, will be working with a confirmed set of experts to review what happened at Hyperion and its immediate aftermath, and a prospective plan moving forward. And one of those experts that we'll be consulting with is the former chair of the State Water Resources Control Board, Felicia Marcus, who will have great input into that process. So appreciated, and appreciate the time and explanation. I mean, ultimately, Mike, Ronald, these are fees that, simply put, are annual fees that we have to pay, rain or shine, for the obligation to necessarily at some point discharge. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will motion to approve items 8, 9, 10, and 11. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns? Garcia, Commissioners Coloso, Villegas? All right, hearing none. Items 8 through 11 are adopted and approved forthwith. Interesting. We were afforded additional raw sewage over the course of public comment, and I would ask Dr. Campos if we have any more raw sewage coming in public comment for item number 12.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'd like to read the item into the record, or would you like me to call for public comments before the 12th?
Yeah, that's okay. Item 12 is contracts expiring within 90 days. These are reports from all bureaus. Do we have any comment?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 12. If you'd like to provide public comments on item number 12, please raise your hand at this time. Again, item number 12. If you'd like to provide any public comments, please raise your hand by pressing star 9. Mr. President, there is one caller on the line, caller ending in 403, caller ending in 403. Under the 10-minute aggregate rule, you have 1 minute and 45 seconds left for item number 12. Please go ahead. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Caller ending in 403, caller ending in 403, you can unmute your microphone. You have 1 minute and 45 seconds left under the 10-minute rule.
We are dying to hear from you.
Dr. Campos, this is Ted. Oh, never mind. I was about to say that the call appeared to drop off our attendee list, but I do see the call on there. So, Mr. Spindler, your phone number's been called, so it's now your turn to speak on the agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Yes, I do see that phone still connected to the line. So last call for caller ending in 403. You have 1 minute and 45 seconds. Hearing no response, Mr. President, we will go ahead and move forward.
Thank you. And yeah, I failed to say thank you to Mr. Fan and Mr. Ruiz and Mr. Ruayu. Thank you all very much for that last item. And with that, I see Ms. Lanton with us and other representatives. So let's hear our expiring contract reports. Who will kick us off? Ms. Lanton, why don't you start us up?
Hello, Commissioners. Good afternoon. Nancy Lanton from LA Sanitation Centralized Contracts Unit. For this month, we do have one contract to report on our status report for personal services contracts expiring within 120 days. This contract is with Rainbow Disposal, DBA Rainbow Environmental Services. This is our contract for receipt, processing, and reuse of green material. This contract was executed September 21st, 2015, and it will be expiring September 20th, 2021. It was a 5-year contract, and we will not be renewing this contract. We do have another contract with another vendor that's providing these green material processing services, so we're going to be using that contract instead. And that concludes.
Correct, Ms. Lanton?
I'm sorry, Commissioner?
CR&R, right?
It's with Waste Management.
Oh, with Waste, oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah. And you'll see that we're going to be amending that contract, and you'll see that before the board for the next couple of weeks as well. And that concludes my report this month.
Okay.
Any questions?
Colleagues, any questions for Ms. Lanton?
I have none.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lanton.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, okay?
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Chow from Streets LA, are you here to report?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Melinda Chow with the Bureau of Street Services Administration Division, and I'm here to report on our contracts that are expiring within the next 90 days. We do have one contract, a total of 5 contracts that will be expiring. The first one is our contract for MicroPaver technical support and consulting services. This is our sole source contract that has been in place for many years. It's with Shaheen and Associates, and they provide specialized technical expertise and updating of software and special consulting as it relates to our MicroPaver software, which helps with determining the pavement condition index. This contract expires on September 13th, and we are working on a renewal of a 3-year sole source contract. And then the next 4 are for maintenance of the landscape median islands. There is one contract for each region that is serviced by the Bureau, and each of those are expiring on October 5th. We will be exercising the renewal options, so those will be renewed shortly. And that's it. Any questions, commissioners?
Any questions, colleagues? Thank
I
you.
have one quick question.
Yes.
The renewal for the landscaping of the maintenance, are there 4 different contractors for that?
Yes, there are 4 different contractors. One is Green Garden. The second one is International Environmental Corp. Third one is Mariposa Landscapes, and the fourth one is Sani Group, DBA BMC Landscape Management. So there is one contract for each region, and it's my understanding that all 4 contracts have renewal options for 2nd and 3rd year, and we are looking to renew basically for year 2.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. And no more questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Ms. Chow. Any additional questions for Ms. Chow? All right. Thank you. Have a great weekend. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carroll from BOE, yes?
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you.
Jonathan Carroll, Project Award and Control, Bureau of Engineering. As our report states, we have 11 contracts that are expiring on September 2nd, and those are going to be amended. We have 8 contracts that are going to be archived. 7 of them expire on September 29th, and 1 of them expires on August 31st.
Any questions, colleagues? All right. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Thank you for the walking through, and it's good to see you. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right. Colleagues, I'm going to step away for 1 second. I'm going to have hand the proverbial gavel to Commissioner or Vice President Garcia, and I will be back shortly. Vice President Garcia, the gavel is yours.
Thank you, President Good. Happy to move us on along to number 13. This is a status update on major upcoming street improvement projects with the Bureau of Street Services. Who is here to present on that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. We have Jorge Garcia from the Bureau of Street Services that will present item 13. But just to remind your board, we do have 1 member on the line that would like to speak on item number 13. At this time, would you like to consider those comments at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Caller ending in 682. Caller ending in 682. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 13. If you are a member of the general public and would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand by pressing *9. Caller ending in 682, you will be permitted to speak 2 minutes on this item. Please go ahead. Oh, there you go.
Dr. Tom Williams, I would prefer to hear the project listing by Bureau of Street Services before making comment, if possible.
That's fine.
Hello?
I don't have a problem with that. Dr. Campos?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam
I'm
Chair.
fine. That's fine.
Let me go ahead and bring in Jorge. Jorge, you should receive a invitation to come into the meeting now. If you can
Yeah, I see him.
turn on your video cam, and then I will go ahead and join you with the commissioners.
Hello, Mr. Garcia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, good afternoon, commissioners, representatives, Dr. Campos. Sorry about that. I'm here to give an update on the Major Streets project update. Okay, this information is being provided to keep the public informed of upcoming resurfacing projects to minimize the impact to the community as well as delays to the commuters. Streets LA would like to provide you an update on all major upcoming street improvement projects. The following major streets are scheduled for the week of August 29th through September 4th. Sunday night through Tuesday morning, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We would cold mill and pave 111th Street, La Cienega Boulevard, Aviation Boulevard in CD 11, Westchester Playa Neighborhood Council Pavement Preservation Program Fund. Tuesday night through Thursday morning, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., we will cold mill and pave La Cienega Boulevard, Fairfax Avenue, Jefferson Boulevard, and CD 10, West Adams Neighborhood Council PPP Fund. Also, Saturday 8/28 and Sunday 8/29 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will cold mill and pave Laurel Canyon Boulevard, Roscoe Boulevard to Satacoy Street in CD2, North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council PPP Fund. In addition, the Metro Region will complete 9 projects for a total of 6.44 lane miles. Valley Region will complete 18 projects for a total of 11.83 lane miles. And the press release were broadcasted and notifications have been issued to the stakeholders. This information is also available on the LA website, streetsla.lacity.org. And that pretty much concludes my update for this week.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Appreciate that. Love that building. I don't know where you're at, but it looks really nice back there.
Okay.
I will. We'll take the public comment before, and then I'll take questions from commissioners. So hang on a minute, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Caller ending in 682. You have 2 minutes to speak on item number 13. Please go ahead.
Yes. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, and I do appreciate the mentioning of the neighborhood councils being notified. It would be very nice to have a centralized web page for the Bureau of Street Services notifying the general public and anybody that wants to subscribe via the city clerk to the service so that we can get the notices in a timely fashion and pass them on to our affected neighbors and stakeholders. So thank you very much for including the neighborhood councils. I wish other bureaus would do the same. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Appreciate that. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Garcia? Seeing none. President Good?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, Mr. Garcia, we do actually alert via the Streets LA website, like what the projects are and how people can sign up, correct?
Correct, yes.
I want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hearing no questions, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Have a good weekend and appreciate your report and the report from Street Services, of course.
Commissioner Garcia, I'm sorry, this
Yes.
is Ted.
Am I
Sorry to
missing
interrupt.
something?
Well, I'm just looking at the list of meeting attendees, and I see another hand got raised. It appears to be from Aida Valencia from Streets LA.
Oh, good catch. Thank
May
you.
have some further comment on that. She raised it, I believe, in response to Dr. Williams' comment.
Sure. Aida, are you here? You want to speak?
Madam Chair, I can go ahead and add Aida to the panelists if you'd like to join her. If you'd like to have her join you.
Yes, please. She raised her hand, so I want to make sure she gets a chance.
Aida, you should receive an invitation to join as a panelist. The Board of Public Works would like you to respond to the commenter's question or comment.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Or, sorry, good afternoon. I did want to mention that the information is on our website, and we are working with the same. We're trying to develop the program that we have with the street sweeping, where you can sign up to actually get notifications when we're in your neighborhood. So that is under development, but it's not quite ready to get rolled out. It's going to be a little bit, but we are working at
sending out more notifications as much as we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Williams, you have that website handy?
No, I do not.
Okay, we'll make sure to get you that website. Aida, let's make sure that Dr. Williams has that website and he's able to sign up.
Sure, not a problem.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think that is all for number 13, unless anybody else has anything on this item. Doesn't seem like it. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Let's move to item 14. Item 14 is Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety, Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety Report. This was originally scheduled for Friday, August 20, 2021, but we continue to today. Before we get our report from Ms. Blyther, can we check, Dr. Campos, if we have any public comment on the item?
Thank you, Mr. President, and welcome back. We do have one person who has raised their hand, caller ending in 682, caller ending in 682. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 14. Please go ahead. You have 2 minutes. Oh, one more time. *6 to unmute yourself,
Yes.
Dr. Williams. There you go.
Yes, I would like to comment after the presentation. That's why I thought, can I comment on? Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Williams, that's not how this works. You've been to many board meetings. We do public comment before the item. So would you have a comment on the item?
Yes, I do. I'm quite concerned regarding the activities of the Alicio Canyon Gas Storage Facility, which extends into the city of Los Angeles, and the fact that the Petroleum and Natural Gas Administrator has not weighed in on this particular subject. There is quite a bit of concern in Porter Ranch and the northern side of the San Fernando Valley regarding this one, and the Playa del Rey gas storage facility and the Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey area, both of which have leaking wells. And in point of fact, the Alicio Canyon blowout was not reported and actually had fraudulent submissions to the state of California and presumably the city of Los Angeles regarding subsurface shutoff valves being in place, which were actually taken out in 1979. So from 1979 to 2015, as they submitted their well logs to the state and presumably the city, they were submitting fraudulent documents. So we're quite concerned regarding the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety as to the Playa del Rey gas storage facility and the Alicio Canyon East End, which is within the city of Los Angeles, and how the Petroleum Administrator may be or may not be reviewing and checking on their submittals. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Good afternoon, Ms. Blyther.
Good afternoon. This is not working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, great. Okay. I'm having some audio problems, so I'm not sure what's being heard. Let's see if I do this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So, Fernando, if you'll allow me to share my screen.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second. You should get the message in about 5 seconds. You will now be able to hover at the lower half of your screen, and then there should be a green screen or green icon, share screen, and you should be able to do that.
Okay, great. So, just wanted to present these updates. For Petroleum Administration, there are regular ongoing meetings with the Alenco drill site. There are monthly interagency and enforcement meetings that occur. Rancho Park is a drill site that also has currently a third-party annual inspection has been submitted, and so they do this on an annual basis. Recently, the office has partnered with the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office for a overview of the LA City Orphan Well program. Well, it's not exactly a program, but it's more just understanding the orphan wells that are possible. California State Senator Henry Stern was interested in trying to find funding for this program, as well as for understanding where these sites were and how people would be affected. And so working with the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office, my office provided some mapping as well as an explanation. As far as pipeline franchises, we invoiced $5 million and we collected about $4.6 million. So about 92% of our franchise agreements we'll continue to pursue ones that have not paid. We reviewed 100% of the pipeline bond and insurance requirements. And we have completed our long-term pipeline franchise revenue study, and we're planning to bring that to the board at some point in the future with potential for more revenue and greater liability protections. Also nearing completion is the SoCalGas franchise valuation study, and that's important to do prior to creating a new franchise agreement with SoCalGas. So that valuation study is nearing completion.
Ms. Blatter, can I ask a quick clarifying question?
You know what? Sorry, I cannot hear anything, so I'm gonna have to call back into the meeting.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm having audio problems. Just hold on 1 second. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, if you could repeat your question.
Yeah, Ms. Blatter, I was just asking on the pipeline royalties. Is that for 2021 complete, or is that for the last 6 months?
That was for the last 6 months.
Great, thank you. I thought so, but I just want to double check for everybody's sake.
No problem.
Ms. Blyther, sorry to interrupt. This is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. If you want to mute your audio equipment while you speak, that would reduce your feedback. And as you listen to the commissioners, mute your video cam and then unmute your device, and then that would reduce the feedback. I know it's a little toggling back and forth, but just wanted to give you that.
We need to address technology.
And sorry to interrupt your presentation. Please go ahead.
No, this is a whole new world of technology, right? Okay, so everyone can see the screen again?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, okay. As far as refinery work, Marathon has a regular meeting that we've been attending, as well as Phillips 66, and that's giving regular updates on their community engagement and any environmental issues, regulatory compliance, etc. Assembly Bill 1646 is related to having integrated alerting and notification system that's used to notify the community surrounding the refineries if there's an emergency. And so work on that is picked up again, and the local certified unified program agencies, so that's all the fire departments have refineries in the area, so that's LA County, El Segundo, as well as LA City, are all working together to develop MOUs, and that we will have a meeting in September. But the idea is to bring those MOUs to our various councils, attorneys, etc., and so they are signed off on. So there's work progressing on that. There's also an effort by the state's California, Cal EPA's Interagency Refinery Task Force, and they are talking about the conversion of petroleum refineries to renewable fuel production, as well as different methods of doing refining. Alkylation was recently explored as an alternative to hydrofluoric acid. There are a lot of concerns in the community about hydrofluoric acid, so that was enlightening to hear. As far as department requests, we've provided support to various development projects. There are housing development projects typically that are done near areas where there previously have been oil wells. We've also worked on various questions and answers for planning, rec and parks, as well as the fire department. As far as policy, we've attended meetings with the Baldwin Hills Community Standards District, and there's a health working group, and I'm going to get into more details later. And there's a community assessment advisory panel, and that's related to the health study that's upcoming. We've been attending the AB 617 Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach quarterly meetings, as well as the South LA monthly meetings, and as work comes up with the study of neighborhood air and petroleum sources. As far as community engagement, I've had the opportunity to meet with industry, so Californians for Energy Independence, Petroleum, California for Independent Petroleum Association, and some environmental justice groups, including Food and Water Watch, Sierra Club, Stand LA, and Protect YNL. There's been great news about staffing. So the recent budget has provided numerous positions for us. There are 3 positions provided for the development of a site inspection compliance review pilot program. 3 positions are in the UB for the initiation of the amortization project. At the time, they weren't sure if it was going to go to planning or the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas, but now it's determined to be the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas. And there's been also a fund set aside for the amortization study, so far $3.5 million. Other positions coming to the office include 1 deputy exempt position, and we're planning to interview some candidates, and also 1 management analyst for franchises. And this position is going to hopefully be next week. They're going to start interviews for that. So in summary, there are 8 new hires coming. Unfortunately, 6 have 6 months of funding, so it's likely going to be January of 2022 before they see the staff. But overall, it's great to have this much staff coming to the office, as we're currently still 2 individuals doing all this work. So it's really encouraging that there's been a lot of effort and faith put in this office to build up the staffing. I'm going to describe a few of these programs in depth. So this is just a refresher. CalEnviroScreen is a science-based mapping tool that's used to help identify California communities that are most affected by sources of pollution. And that includes environmental, health, and socioeconomic information used to provide a numerical score for each census tract in the state. And these results can be compared to each other statewide. So in looking at that, of our 17 drill sites, 10 of them are in and around low-income and disadvantaged communities and ones that have the highest pollution burden per CalEnviroScreen. So the plan for this drill site compliance and transparency program is to really provide a holistic picture of what's happening at each of the drill sites. And so we're planning to gather records, well inventories, permits, inspection reports, notices of violations, noise and odor complaints, planning cases, etc., from all the relevant regulatory agencies, and that'll be those internal to the city as well as external ones, anyone that does inspections or anyone basically that touches oil. And we're going to be filing public records requests as needed, and we're going to provide an update report. And so we're also planning to include, as a point to Dr. Tom Williams' comment, we are also planning to include our gas storage fields as well, so that includes Aliso Canyon as well as Playa del Rey, but we are going to hopefully provide that information to the public. And the idea is to put this on a public-facing website and do an annual update so that everyone has an idea of what's happening. And we weren't necessarily going to do a report card grading or say, oh, this site has has no violations, etc., because there are a lot of pending cases that we're not privy to as they're going through the legal system. But we are going to gather all the records that are available so that people will understand what's happening at each drill site and have a good picture without having to go to various different agencies. So far, any agencies that we've brought this to seem very supportive. So this is moving ahead, and we're hopeful that this will be a useful program for everyone in terms of transparency and knowing what's going on, and not having to go through and buy all these individual public records with each of these agencies. Another program that the funding was received for is Council File 170447, Land Use Codes. And so this motion was first introduced in 2017 and instructed city departments to report on the feasibility of amending current city land use codes in connection with health impacts at oil and gas wells and drill sites. So in 2019, this office produced a health report, And currently, people might have heard of this as 2,500-foot buffers and things like that. It's currently evolved to non-conforming land use throughout the city. So the current instructions are to do an amortization study and for the city planning department to look at non-conforming ordinance for all of the oil, drill, and gas sites throughout the city. So those are things that are coming. And basically, to explain what amortization is a legal process that allows for the eventual termination of a non-conforming land use without compensation if it can be established that a reasonable time period has been allowed for the owner to recoup its capital investment. And so to do that process, there has to be a lot of research into the history of the amount of money that's been spent on each of the wells, how much production has been done, etc. So there's a lot of research and records development that needs to be done. And a recent case of doing this is Culver City. They retained Baker and O'Brien, which is a consultant that does this type of work, and they conducted an amortization study. And they have one part of the Inglewood oil field. The Inglewood oil field is the largest urban oil field in the country, just because it is so close to so many people within the county of Los Angeles. Culver City has 10% of that oil field, and so for their portion of the oil field, they were able to complete this study, and it was about $400,000. It only had one oil field, one oil operator, and 41 wells. They also had non-conforming land use on the codes since the 1960s, so they were a step ahead of us in that. So we think our project will be significantly more extensive because we have 26 oil fields, 16 drill sites, one inactive, and then multiple wells. So we have about 5,000 wells throughout the city. So we have some money set aside for this budget, but very likely we will need more to complete the process. But we have enough to begin this and get a good start. The motion was transmitted to several committees: Energy, Climate Change, Environmental Justice, Planning, Land Use, Arts, Park, Health, as well as Budget and Finance. So far, it's made it through 2 of these committees. It's still pending in Arts, Parks, and Health, as well as Budget and Finance. After that, this motion will eventually go back to City Council, and that's when we expect to begin this work. One other project that we've worked on is pipeline abandonments. That's a big issue for this division or this department. So the Bureau of Engineering had something on record, but they came to us to revise their procedures. And so Tamara Martin it involved a significant amount of effort for her because she has gained extensive experience as she's worked on the pipelines. And so she was able to give great comments on this. And we have a really good procedure in place now, working with Bureau of Engineering. So we're excited for this. And it's very important as we have several upcoming pipeline abandonments: NASCO, O'Donnell, Warren, as well as Whittier pipeline. And we did receive budget for the Whittier pipeline abandonment. So we're excited for that. Another upcoming project that you might hear about is a barrel tax. So this is a motion done in January of 2021, and it's Council File 210065. And this is to have the idea of oil and gas extraction taxes for the city of Los Angeles. This tax used to exist, but it was repealed in 1996, and the city can't just implement another tax unilaterally, so it has to obtain voter approval. In March of 2011, there was an attempt to do this, but it was a much higher cost per barrel, and it narrowly failed. We were estimating, this was from the 2019 health report, that 50 cents per barrel would generate approximately $1.4 million each year. So I'm currently working with the CAO on seeing what we can do, and the plan is to put this before voters on the November 2022 ballot. So that's an upcoming project that's also being worked on. Recently, the city of Long Beach passed a barrel tax, and they raised theirs from 15 cents to 30 cents. And it's estimated to give them another $1.6 million in their general fund revenue. And this is part of their research. And so far, you can see Los Angeles, we're the only one who doesn't have a barrel tax. Yorba Linda, Fullerton, Torrance, Seal Beach, Englewood, La Habra, Huntington Beach, everybody has some level of a barrel tax, except for the city. So that's something that we're looking at bringing back. Oh, sorry. And so another project I've been involved in, I mentioned the Inglewood oil field earlier. So the Community Standards District establishes regulations for oil and gas production at the Inglewood oil field. And the California Air Resources Board is going to be bringing the study of neighborhood air near petroleum sources to that. And it's going to be sometime this year. There have been delays, of course, due to COVID, but they're planning to be the latter part of the year. And that is going to be useful as the health study is proceeding. You may have seen some of these news stories and press releases. I am a member of the Community Health Assessment and Advisory Panel, so I can provide some more details. But the CAP recommended that this assessment talk about the stratified results by length of residency, communities most likely to be impacted, environmental justice, health outcomes, community engagement. So all of this information has been gathered. The County Public Health is really working with this study, and they were able to choose a consultant to work and do the actual study. And so just to give you an overview, this has been a long process. So we started in phase 1, which is the blue here. It was the formative work. Then we went on to the green, which is the scoping, and that was just preparing what type of study could be done with the available data, when we would be likely to see results, etc. We had a number of experts involved in that, so I was involved at that. A lot of the members from the scoping have now moved on to phase 3, implementation and analysis, and that's where we are right now. And so the contractor is UCLA, and the research team has been introduced at the CAP, and so it's going to be Dr. Henry, Laura Cushing, and a few other researchers. And so UCLA, of course, is someone who's neutral and, of course, science and education based. So that's a really good team. And the team's going to work with the Community Health Assessment Advisory Panel to assemble the advisory group. They're going to reach out to other members of the community and see if more people want to join. They're going to obtain birth data. And birth data was chosen because you can see results in birth outcomes very quickly compared to seeing results over an entire lifetime. But birth outcome studies are actually mostly preferred for this type of quick results. The research team will also draft protocols and study materials and submit the required information. I've also been involved in the Assembly Bill 617. So there are 2 communities that have oil related. So it's Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach, as well as South Los Angeles. And so this shows the amount of dollars that have been spent so far in the various communities. So the year 1 communities have spent more dollars because they've been around longer. And so they're further along in the implementation phase. So they have their beginning as well as their middle, and they're towards a lot more. So of these year 1 communities, Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach has spent the most amount of money. South LA, very little has been spent because they're just now forming, and we're in year 3. But they're hoping to get more funds, and this is through June of 2021. So far, Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach has done a number of activities. Again, they're further along in their process of working to reduce air quality pollution. And this new warehouse rule was going to reduce emissions. And there are actually 198 warehouses where this is applicable to in the Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach area. It's a staggering number of warehouses. There's also Rule 1178, and this is related to volatile organic chemical emissions from storage tanks at petroleum facilities. So I've been involved in some of these meetings. There are also things related to school air filtration, cleaner technology for mobile sources, as well as collaboration, again, for school air filtration systems and community air monitoring. And during these meetings, AQMD gives us presentations on things related to the refinery. So there's Rule 1180 at the refineries, and it's basically fence line monitoring that allows for notification about emissions 24/7. And I'm signed up for these alerts, and so I know if any of the refineries are exceeding their emissions. This was optical remote sensing and explains the process of how the data is collected and what works. Another project that they're starting is a community oil well pilot sampling initiative. So they're giving members of the community sampling devices so that they can actually look at oil wells and they recognize the communities there consistently. Whereas if you call AQMD on demand, they're not always there or available to come right away. So they say, oh, the community can go out if they smell something, if they see something, they can do some of these measurements themselves. Currently, there are no stipends for the community, and currently there's no drill site fence line monitoring. But that's something that I consistently ask for, because as new air quality standards are developed, it would be AQMD that would be enforcing them. So that is something I've asked for. As far as year 3, South LA, there was a lot of concerns about the size and where South LA would be. The Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas wrote several letters of support for South LA because of various drill sites. Jefferson, Murphy, as well as Allen Co. are there, and they are of concern to the community. I was chosen as a member of the Community Steering Committee. And this is a new thing for HMD because they have, now this is their first co-lead model with 3 co-leaders. So their co-leaders are Physicians for Social Responsibility, the SCOPE, as well as Watts Clean Air and Energy Committee. And so that's good because there's more community involvement in setting the goals and the timelines for achieving the goals. This was a proposed boundary, and it didn't necessarily include Watts, but after community feedback, it's grown much larger. The new boundary now encompasses Compton, Linwood, Gramercy Park, Willowbrook, parts of the Inglewood oil field, and main streets around SoFi Stadium. So it's quite large, but it's pretty much fills in the gaps between all the other AB 617 communities. Those are the areas in gray. So between Southeast Los Angeles as well as Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach. Some of the areas that are priority that are related to specifically my office are the oil and gas industry. And so general air quality priorities are industrial sources, oil and gas, auto body, toxic metals, but specifically gas stations, drill sites, the Murphy drill site, as well as oil wells. As a member of that committee, I was able to give an environmental justice and racism presentation. And I gave you a preview last time, I believe it was in February. So just a slight revision, I found new data related to redlining and the 10 freeway. But again, freeways are concerns because of the numerous amounts of pollution, and in some cases when they actually destroy communities. And so the community of Sugar Hill was a West Adams neighborhood in South Los Angeles. It was named Sugar Hill as a nod to doctors, entrepreneurs, as well as oil barons that lived there. And there were legendary stars like jazz singer Ethel Waters, as well as Hattie McDowell. Later, Marvin Gaye lived there. And this was a really thriving community, and it was existing despite systemic efforts to prevent Black people from buying homes in much of Los Angeles. But unfortunately, as the 10 freeway is constructed, they're pretty much bulldozed through the neighborhood. And a lot of times the highway planners use the language of science to justify building the freeways, and they said, oh, it's blighted, there's nothing related to race, etc. But it was another classic example of redlining. And though some homes in Sugar Hill are still there to this day, many were demolished. And I think it's just shocking to see here's this thriving neighborhood, suddenly it's a freeway. So that is one of the many legacies that we have to deal with. Looking forward, working on the SoCalGas franchise, we are in need of a new franchise, so we're hoping to complete the evaluation and begin negotiations fairly soon. I mentioned already long-term pipeline franchise agreements. We want to finalize that work. Working on various council file report backs and coordinating with planning on drill site compliance reviews, specifically Murphy and West People have come up recently. Also reviewing any upcoming state legislation. And there's one other staffing thing that I didn't announce was that I'm now the petroleum administrator. I was named in May, so thank you all for all of your support. And it's a big job, but I'll do my best. And our PR department has been very busy putting all kinds of articles out there about me, so thank you, PR department, for Board of Public Works, and thank you all for your trust in me. I'll do my best. So any questions?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Blada. All right, let's open it up for questions. Start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. First and foremost, congratulations publicly, Ms. Erica, on your position. You are definitely the right person for this job, and we always saw it. We always knew it. We were just waiting for you to to say that. But appreciate and happy to have you on board at this level. Very happy. I don't have any questions really on your presentation. You did a good job on making sure we understood everything you were discussing. In whatever way we can be supportive. There's a lot upcoming for you, including the hiring and a lot of the reports that are upcoming. So, of course, as a board, we're here to support you in any way that we can. And I speak on my behalf also, and in any way that we can help you through get through these next milestones that you'll be having within your department. More than happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Good.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I appreciate the report. You're keeping really busy, and we appreciate that. I think that the approvals for staffing will certainly help because you're all over the place, and it seems that you're not only following legislation but also doing the community piece and the policy work. So I don't have any questions, but I see that we have a lot of programs that you're, in charge of, and it's nice that you have a good partner in Sacramento to probably help us as well. But I see that the amount of work that you have is grand. It's big. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yes, I just wanted to say it's a very good report. It was comprehensive, and it looks like we are continuing some of the earlier work that the department did in its inception, and we've even grown to expand to new areas that we should be managing. Also, I like the fact that you have identified some agendas for us, some agenda items for us in the future, and we look forward to working with you on those that you have identified for us. And again, congratulations on your leadership. I'm really happy that you do, as Commissioner Villegas said, have staff to help you enact some of these initiatives that we have. And I hope that we will be able to continue to keep up with managing the interests. I know a lot of individual families, I don't know how many of them are receiving revenues because they have oil somewhere on the property, or they're getting checks for that. And I know did we keep a database of those individuals, or how did we relate to identifying and relating to those individuals who were recipients of oil rights here in Los Angeles?
So rentals and royalties is one area we began, but we need to do a lot more work in that area. So we're hoping with more staffing that'll allow us to do more work. We began a pilot project to understand where some of our revenue is going, but that's an area we need to dig more into.
What would you say is our most regularly focused effort in all of what we have on our portfolio coming out of the office? What area do we spend the most time in executing activity from your office?
Currently, right now, it's going to be the SoCalGas franchise.
I see.
The next thing will be the drill site compliance program, and then amortization or the overall land use code change. So those three are going to be huge for the work of the office. Okay. And everything else will be
great. Well, again, congratulations. Thank you for a comprehensive report, and we look forward to working with you on some of the agenda items that you've identified that are future priorities for the office. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Closa?
Thank you, President Good. Congratulations on your appointment, Ms. Blyther. I don't think anyone is surprised that you're our petroleum administrator, and we're just excited to see you carry forth all the work. Every project that you're working on is a big project, so I'm just always astounded by the amount of work that you and Tamara are able to produce with a mighty team of two. So I can't imagine what you're going to do when you have more hands and bodies at your disposal. Some of the things that I'm really looking forward to seeing is the transparency tool that you mentioned, just aligning all those documents and making them available to the public in one easy place. I know it's not hard. Tracking down who's responsible, whose authority is it, navigating these websites can be a little bit clunky. So I think that's really going to be an important tool to building trust in some communities that may be wary of the work that we do and how we're continuing to promote a lot of the environmental justice work that I know is centered in your work that's clearly evidenced in your presentation. I also saw that you're doing some joint work with our Climate Emergency Mobilization Office with Marta, so I think that's great that you guys are joining forces where it makes sense. And I'm excited for that. And then the question I just had, if you can also send a copy of your PowerPoint. I wanted to read some of the slides more thoroughly, but I know you had so much to present on that you weren't able to go into them all in depth. But I would love to spend some time reading it because there's so much rich information there. If you can just share it. And on the barrel tax slide, I know some of them, I know we're at a zero at the other end of the spectrum where we don't want to be, and hopefully that'll change next year. But I noticed some of the numbers for some of the other cities were in red. Is that because they're planning an increase, or was that for a different reason?
So I think some of the numbers were for Long Beach, and so Long Beach and Signal Hill are kind of related, and so because their barrel tax, they've had different numbers over the years. And I can send you the link to that, and they go through a little bit of explanation of what's been going on with their whole barrel tax too. So they've had it consistently, but it's changed over the years.
Got it. Okay. I was like, wow, are they planning another increase? And we're really far behind the curve here on that. But I think that was really it from my end, and just look forward to seeing your work progress, and look forward to reading the PowerPoint in more detail. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Thank you, Ms. Blyther. I also will publicly congratulate you. I've almost lost track since we talk like 3 times a day. But really congratulations on your permanent appointment. You're shattering expectations already. And with that important distinction of when you get votes, just to be clear about it, she didn't have anybody. She got one, she got Tamara, who's mighty, but we're still in that process. But it's going to be meaningful, and we're going to, I know we're going to see great things from the office, and look forward to collaborating and continuing that collaboration. One quick question, as much as anything for the public, can you just elaborate or maybe truncate in just a quick synopsis of what AB 617 is?
Oh, Assembly Bill 617? So that's a state bill that's meant to look at, again, neighborhoods impacted by poor Cal Enviro screens, and they look throughout the state at these neighborhoods. And it's a little sad because as people have come forward to the California Air Resources Board with their needs, they realize they can't help everyone. And so the idea, I think, initially was kind of to do different types of communities. So, for example, agricultural communities have different issues, industrial communities, oil and gas. And hopefully they were planning to learn lessons from that and apply those to various communities in California that need these issues addressed. So that was kind of the plan. They're continuing to work on that. There's been a lot of concern from the communities that there's been a lot of, I guess, the issue of, again, systemic racism and who gets to have a seat at the table in terms of determining what happens, what industries have a voice at the table, who says when things can happen. And so they just want to make sure there's more and more involvement with the community. And I think that's evidence in AQMD is now moving towards this community-led version of their steering committee. In the past, it was always district-led, and district would set the schedule, set the timetable, and determine what actions would be taken to reduce emissions. And so now with the community being more involved, they're happy about that. They're happy about getting stipends. That's a newer feature that didn't happen before. So there is evolution in AB 617, but it's kind of up to the individual air districts to apply it in their regions. So for us, it's the South Coast Air Quality Management District, which has, I think, has the most AB 617 communities, but there are communities statewide. And so we all work together, and there's, I think, going to be a large gathering coming up in September just to look at, okay, now we've had 3 years of AB 617. What lessons have we learned? What do we want to do in the future to make this more meeting the needs of the community? So overall, it's to monitor as well as reduce emissions from various sources of pollution.
And is there funding behind AB 617?
The funding comes from the state.
Okay.
Yeah, It's in the California Air Resources Board.
They have put money in there. So there is a plan for the resources for CARB and then for the districts to actually put money behind some of these in search of some of these outcomes.
Right.
One last question. The planning report that I know you're contributing to on the amortization study, which you alluded to, the council timeline on that is budget and finance in September, correct?
I believe that there's going to be, I haven't heard this exact schedule, but I thought it was going to go to budget and finance next, but I haven't heard for sure that it's been dismissed from the Arts, Park, and Health Committee. So we're still waiting on the final timeline for that, but I thought it was going to be in September. I haven't heard the final word yet.
All right. Thank you. I think it is though. But and on that note, I want to make sure and acknowledge the leadership of Councilmember Krikorian, Councilmember Koretz, Council President Martinez, and others on really working assiduously to address issues around this, and then obviously the external community, which you alluded to, Stand LA and others who've been so the labor who've been so engaged and everything. So thank you for that exceedingly thorough presentation. And I would echo Commissioner Closa, if you can send that to Dr. Campos, Ms. Blyther, Dr. Campos and TJ, and they'll send it around to all of us. Okay. All right. Mr. Jordan, we offered up an opportunity for public comment in advance of this item, and Dr. Williams availed himself of that. That is sufficient to cover, correct or no?
We did. We did indicate when Dr. Williams raised the issue that public comment for this item would be heard at the beginning. So it's the chair's discretion whether you wish to reopen it.
I do not. So thank you, Ms. Blyther, and have a great weekend. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks. That brings us to item 15, and it is my sad, heavy, honored privilege to adjourn this meeting in the memory of Richard Martin Kleckner. Richard Martin Kleckner was born on October 7th, 1938 in Mansfield, Ohio. He left us just recently on August 15th, 2021. Now, Mr. Kleckner was the son of Esley and Florence Kleckner. Esley was born in 1902. Florence was born in 1904. They were descendants of German immigrants that settled mostly in Pennsylvania and Ohio, Midwest folks. Growing up, Mr. Kleckner worked on his parents' apple and peach orchards, and helped, along with his sister, Betty Jean Kleckner, now Jean Brightville, to run the family's dinner and square dancing hall in Mansfield, Ohio. That's right. While he was there, he met Marlene Ann Beck. She was a dancer. She was a square dancing enthusiast at the hall, where Mr. Kleckner actually called the square dances. And Mr. Kleckner and Ms. Beck later became actual professional square dancers. Mr. Kleckner subsequently graduated from high school, from Madison High School in 1956. And Mr. Kleckner, who was called Dick by many, but not by his mother or children, he enlisted in the Army Reserve, served from December 1956 to March 1964, and was honorably discharged in 1964. He returned home from service and married Miss Beck on August 17th, 1958. They were married for 17 years. They were together for 23 years, and they had 2 children, Kevin Richard Kleckner and our own Cindy Lynn Bassett. They moved from Mansfield, Ohio to Miramar, Florida in 1967. In Florida, Mr. Kleckner met his future business partner, Jake Rowe, on the CB radio. I love that. I don't know about some of the youngsters on here may not even know what a CB was. I remember because my dad had a CB. Mr. Kleckner and Mr. Rowe formed a business relationship and started their first business and the endeavor and enterprise of self-employment. Mr. Kleckner later remarried Mary Elaine Ullery Kleckner in Las Vegas. Mary Elaine is his surviving wife. She currently lives in Paisley, Florida, Central Florida, in the Ocala National Forest. And Cindy hit me if I've mispronounced Ocala. Mr. Kleckner was married and has been married, was married to Marie Elaine for 33 years. They were together for 40 years, which is amazing. They had two sons. She had two sons from a previous marriage, Robert and Richard Ullery. Mr. Kleckner's sister, Betty Jean, was born on June 12, 1927, married and lived with her husband in Loudonville, Ohio, where they started a dairy farm, which then expanded into agricultural farming as well. Mick and Jean Brightbill had three sons, David, Bob, and James Brightbill. Most of them, I believe, are actually listening from Ohio as we speak. In fact, a whole host of Brightbills and Kleckners are with us right now. Betty Jean, Richard's sister, is with us from Ohio. Marie Elaine Kleckner, Mr. Kleckner's widow and wife, is with us from Florida. Kevin Kleckner, Cindy's brother, and Mr. Kleckner's son is with us from Florida. And the Brightbills, David, Bob, and Jim, Mr. Kleckner's nephews, Cindy's cousins, are also with us from Ohio. Cousin Mick passed away a few years ago. So Mr. Kleckner had a sprawling and interesting and very cool career. He worked Keller, Remlong, and Beck, a plumbing and heating services company, it was his. SCM, Smith Corona Typewriters, Columbus, Ohio. Florida, he was a Florida business owner. Dick's Sweeping Inc., professional retail center sweeping services. And Dick's Custom Service, along with his surviving wife, Marie Elaine, they were professional paper hangers and were hung paper in some of the fanciest homes and mansions in South Florida, which ain't a small thing, as we all know. Mr. Kleckner was a member of the Masonic Temple for 50 plus years, as was his father. He was achieved Master Mason and several levels of achievement within the lodge. He was a part of Ducks Unlimited, which is very cool, at least sounds cool. They're dedicated to the conservation of wetlands and associated upland habitats for waterfowl, other wildlife, and people. It's had a membership of about 700,000 folks since January 2013. They provide waterfowl hunting tips and migration reports. Again, crucial in Florida. Mr. Kleckner had many hobbies. We know, first and foremost, square dancing, which I suspect he would have dazzled us all, along with Miss Beck, who I know still fancies square dancing. Golf, bass fishing, bowling, ping pong. Apparently he was quite the ping pong player. Card games, hearts, pinochle, wood burning, which I've seen evidence thereof. Lovely, lovely wood burning art that he did. And he sang in his choir at the church. He was heartbroken when his health prevented him from doing those things anymore towards the end of his life. He loved country music, and as a Texan who knows country music, I appreciate and admire the fact that he loved original country music, not, as he apparently often said, not this modern crap. That's a scientific term, and I would echo that. He appreciated Johnny Cash, Glenn Campbell. I know Ted Jordan knows some of these. Merle Haggard, Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire, George Jones, Buddy Rich, He was a prankster. He loved dressing up for Halloween, as you all know, it's something I'm very fond of as well. And he and Marlene spent many vacations when the kids were young with Marlene's brother Keith and sister-in-law Caroline in Callaway Gardens golfing, and they bought a townhouse and golf community near one another. Mr. Kleckner spent later vacation time with his sister and nephews in Ohio. The Brightbills, who as I mentioned, are all with us, along with Elaine and Cindy on the farm in Louisville, Ohio. Mr. Kleckner enjoyed playing cards and dominoes with the family. Aunt Jean, my grandma was named Jean, Sue and Bob Brightbill, and whoever else they could convince to play. They had fun times around the table, eating and playing games. I'm sure we've all got memories of playing dominoes or cards and sitting around and eating with our family. The nephews and kids were always teasing Mr. Kleckner, and apparently he loved that. Everyone loved Mr. Kleckner by all accounts. He was easygoing, albeit stubborn. I can identify with that. He had strong morals and integrity and was of the Midwest type, a man of his word. He was a hard worker with a good work ethic. He had a great smile. I can attest to that. I've seen pictures. Heck of a smile. Nice hair. More hair than I have. And he lived much longer than I've had to deal with hair. He had a great smile. He was a bit of a cowboy, loved his jeans and boots before he had to trade those in for sneakers. He had an ornate silver turquoise watch that he wore for years. I've seen it, it's cool. And a necklace made for him that said, oh, this stuff that we talked about a lot earlier. And was fond of that necklace. His wife Elaine reminded Cindy that he traded that necklace in for a cross. He loved being in nature and said that was his time with God. Mr. Kleckner was an active church member with Marlene in Ohio, volunteering and serving as an usher. And later in life attended several churches in the Orlando-Deltona area. They landed at Life Point Church in Deland, where they were active until they couldn't be anymore. Mr. Kleckner was baptized again as an adult in the ocean at Daytona Beach, probably singing Glenn Campbell songs in his head. He gave his life to Christ, which he was very proud of. He volunteered in many capacities, even mowing the church lawn, bringing the Midwest to Florida. Richard Kleckner passed on Sunday morning, on August 15, 2021. He was loved by many and will be missed by his entire family. He is survived by his wife, Elaine Kleckner, first wife, Marlene Kleckner, daughter, our very own Cindy Bassett, son, Kevin Kleckner, grandchildren, Christopher Kleckner, who resides in North Carolina, Jessica Marie Kleckner in Sorrento, Florida, Justin Bassett, one of Cindy's sons, and Ryan Bassett, her other son, who live in Denver, and Ryan lives here. Great-grandson Nathan Kleckner, and great-granddaughter Mia Rose Kleckner, and many more grandnephews and nieces on Gene Brightbill's side of the family. That's awesome. I hope, personally, I get to have a life full enough to have that kind of legacy. Services will be held at Life Point Church in Deland, Florida, as soon as it is safe to do so, and it can be scheduled. By all accounts, again, Mr. Kleckner was a good man. He made his family proud. He had a great life. He'll be missed in body, but he knows, and they know, that they'll ever be forever connected in spirit. It is a personal honor to adjourn this meeting in honor of Mr. Kleckner. Though I don't know Mr. Kleckner, I know Cindy Bassett, and that's all I need to know about Mr. Kleckner. And so with that, I would invite Miss Bassett if she would like to say a couple of words.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Briefly, because I know you've had a long meeting. Sorry. Is it not working? I speak. Okay. Where am I at? Oh, that's my chair out here. So just popping over here because it's easier. I know you've had a long board meeting on behalf of my family, my brother in Florida, Aunt Jean, and all the Bright Bills on, and of course, Marie Elaine Kleckner. We appreciate this time to adjourn in my father's honor, and I appreciate Executive Officer Fernando Campos for making this an opportunity, and also President Good for speaking the words about my father. I appreciate all of you and your support in this honor. Thank you so much.
Never lose our opportunities to reflect and give love to our families, and that's our families in our real everyday life and our family here. And Cindy, I think I can speak for the entire Department of Public Works when I say we love you, and we know it's been an incredibly trying time for you and your family, and we're here for you. And we're grateful for Mr. Kleckner and the Mrs. Kleckners for giving us you. So today's meeting, unless anybody would anyone like to say anything on the board?
Sending our sincere condolences, Cindy.
I'll call you back.
What a beautiful life your father had, and I echo President Good's sentiments. What a exemplary person, they raised. It's not easy raising children to people, to responsible citizens of the world, and they did a marvelous job with you. And we're so blessed to have you with us. To all your family, our deep condolences.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas.
And Cindy, I want to extend my condolences to your family and say as well as Commissioner Vallejos, what a wonderful job they did to you in terms of the outstanding work and service you provide to those of us here. Such a consistent, dedicated person who really is the glue to making things happen in terms of support in this office. And if your father's work is a reflection of what you do every day, then we already know who he is. And we're so proud, again, as our president has said, that he has shared us with you. We value your service that you provide to us. You help us make us look good. And we know that those activities that you engage in every day to make public works look good comes from a deeper source. And I know that your father is the foundation of that source. So my condolences. Many of us have been down this road before. It's a part of life and our own growth and development here on earth. And just know that we extend to you our condolences, and our heart is right there with you. And thank you so very much for being you.
All right. So with that, also to all the Kleckners and Brightville's out there, is anyone else raising hands? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure. Okay. To all the Kleckners and Brightville's out there, thank y'all, and thank y'all for giving us Cindy. And don't even think about taking her away. We love you, Cindy. We're with you. We got your back whenever you need. And with that, I am proud and honored to adjourn this meeting in the memory of Richard Martin Kleckner. Thank you all very much.